do you feel about the matchup here? Do you think Tearlaments can sort of outmaneuver the Makonko deck, or do you think the Makonko's going to be able to steal this game?
So Makonko is such a strange strategy, so it's hard to really tell. But I think when I've spoken to the players that have been playing Makonko recently, they've always said, yeah, I would love to play against Tearlament. So I assume that happens for a reason, right? Tearlament does have a lot of effects at target. The one thing that I think Tearlament can really use effectively against a strategy is Rule Close, but that's not necessarily a guaranteed card that's going to be in any
Alô, alô. Alô, fala galera, beleza? Aqui é o Moço do canal Universo Geek Story. A gente tá aqui acompanhando agora o torneio aí do CS, né? Eu não sei se tá dando pra vocês ouvirem. Tá dando problema com o meu OBS. Deixa eu ver aqui pelo CS. Próprio escuro. Tá aqui o duelo na tela, né? A parte de cima o Thiago tá de Tiaramente e a parte de baixo tá de Infernópolis. 5 tempo aí, cara. Vou ver como tá aqui no YouTube. Está uma música. Que música é essa tocando? Bom, agora saiu a música, mas eu não tô ouvindo o que eles estão falando aí. Alô? Caramba. Alô, fala galera. Cara, não sei qual é a bronca aqui que se o microfone pegar, o áudio não pega. Acho que eu vou tirar meu microfone e vou deixar só o áudio mesmo.
Up to this point, but the Infernoble version of this is, I want to say, brand new to this event.
A lot of great duelists going ahead and piloting this deck and showing that it works, but hey, now it looks like that's Gen the Diamond Tiger.
Activate Illusion of Chaos. Yeah.
And while this isn't a Dark Magician deck, it still can go ahead and reveal that Illusion of Chaos to grab its respective card. Probably going to add Magician Souls. That's always been popular since the cards were released. And yep, that is what we're grabbing.
I'm going to put a card on top. Okay.
Yep, he's going to put back any other card on the top of the deck.
Activate this. Yeah.
Magician Soul is going to like immediately send the Illusion of Chaos that was put back by its own effect. Not even going to try to bluff that he sent another card. He's going to mill right off the top. And then activates Gen.
So lots of bodies appearing on the field.
No. I draw two and discard one? I draw two, discard one.
Oh. This deck's really revving up.
Tyler seeing Gen and Ken for apparently the first time here.
And I think Asala, you were right. 5Ds is his favorite series. He did just say it. Let's rev it up.
If he hits a thrust, he gets really
Resolution?
cool stuff. Yeah.
Triple touch the talent. Look at your hand.
He needed to discard a card, right? Yeah, like
Yeah, he hasn't fully resolved that effect yet. Getting excited to see the Triple Tactics talent, but we're not there yet.
yep. I'm gonna go ahead and discard Huli here,
Sorry, my bad.
which is great because he already has the reborn. You're so good at saying the reborn spell's name.
Oh, you mean Mayo Ashidori?
Yeah, that one.
Put that back.
For those of you who don't know what Mayo Ashidori does, it is the equipped spell that, of course, makes your monsters unable to be destroyed by card effects, or at least the monster is equipped. But probably the most relevant effect is in the graveyard. You can target a Makonko monster in the graveyard, and then special summon if you do, equip it with this card, but banish it when it leaves the field.
Really interesting to see a reborn spell that reborns from the grave, including itself. Like it is also being reborn.
Yeah,
The one.
2-for-1 deal on that. Now we do see the hand here. We went ahead and lost one card, but it looks like two of the Perlino planets, as well as Destiny Hero Malicious.
It looks like card destruction was sent away, right?
Yes, card destruction was. So obviously, I think that means that Simon is setting up for his next turn, and so the card destruction is just terrifying for him. All those resources he's been building up, he would lose if he let him keep that. So actually, the Triple Tactics talent really helped out.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, at this point, I just imagine, like, you see the double Pearl Rhino, you see Rhino Heart, you see the Malicious. If there's any line that leads to Acid Golem, Tyler's hand is completely locked away.
Absolutely correct. Acid Golem is a great card, but not necessarily when you control it, right? It doesn't let you special summon monsters, and it forces you to receive or remove Exceeds materials or take 2,000 damage, which is super helpful since damage is really what this deck is all about.
Celine's going to be able to summon back that Diabell Star.
It is a spellcaster.
There's plenty of options at this point because with the Magician Souls as well.
I have to think about this here.
But I think the level 7 is a bit more interesting of a level.
I'm going to Frost.
Oh, there's the Thrust as well. We're probably going to get access to Change of Heart, I'd imagine.
would let him get that monster. I think we may be going the direction you think this is going. This is crazy. Taking a look at the list here. Do we have the Acid Golem?
Oh, it's in there.
Okay, that's going to be fun.
Makes sense. I know Simon has been working with Ed, who played a very similar list, or not so much similar, but like an earlier version of this list at Indianapolis.
What's great about this game is it keeps developing, and there's only been 2 weeks to really plan from Indianapolis to this event to gather that information and make those adjustments. But it looks like Simon's deck is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, looks like we're not going to go for Change Heart. We went for Reinforcement of the Army, which then was used to grab a node.
So really, really needed a warrior. Thrust definitely paying off with that Ken the Dragon Warrior. Of course, since your opponent controls a monster, you get to add the spell or trap to your hand instead of setting it.
Miwashidori, target.
And there it is, the green spell.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and bring back Huli, the Jeweled Makanko. And of course, the Makanko Dense Mayawashidori goes ahead and really sweeps itself back on the field. It is an incredible card, like a monster reborn that puts itself back on the field.
A monster reborn perfectly in theme from the graveyard, reborning itself as well as the monster it's equipping to itself to. That monster will be banished if it leaves the field, but likely will not be directly leaving the field, but it'll just be used as an Xyz material.
Might be opening up the overlay network soon. We do have 2 level 3 monsters.
Yeah, you know, I don't know why I even thought he was going to go for Change of Heart. He needs that Ken to be on the opposing side of the field so he can swap him out.
Such a really neat combo featuring some, not necessarily obscure cards, but just very like disparate, you know, one from this set, one from that. The Geonator Transverser, which is likely what's going to come up, allows you to swap the positions of the monsters that it link arrow points to. So if we make the number 30 Acid Golem of Destruction here, you can put that on that left side where Geonator Transverser would be, and then swap it out with that Ken the Dragon Warrior on the other side of the field, giving Tyler basically his worst nightmare.
There is going to be the Makanko Ritual spell here.
So Makanko Kagura is probably going to ritual summon the Ohime. We're sending 7 stars to the graveyards. That feels good for a ritual 6. And there is Ohime.
Ohime effect will target.
Using
Arabesque.
Ohime effect here to put Arabesque on the field.
What I want to equip it to right now.
It's going to equip Arabesque directly to it.
Equip it to appropriate target.
So Arabesque can use its effect to special summon from deck and add the Ohime back to his hand.
I'm going to equip it again.
He's going to equip it again. Interesting.
Activate Arabesque.
So he's going to be able to recycle the Gen,
Bounce the monster.
That's fine.
and then probably put a different level 3 on the field.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And it's true that the Makankos are level 3s, so that's just a great way to pull out Hare here and have the other one for later.
And then Hare lets you summon one.
No. It's equip spell.
Oh, it equips from the deck.
Yeah, so Hare, like we saw, Huli adds traps. Hare adds spells. Actually, I don't even know if Huli added a trap yet.
No, I don't believe it has. We haven't seen any of those Makanko trap cards.
He might already have the Spirit Walk in his hand.
You usually don't run multiple copies, so he probably does.
Oh,
have
I
that.
saw the trap card. Yep, it is absolutely
Oh, I
in his
see
hand.
it, yeah.
Activate effect.
Renaud's fine.
Now it gets to add equip spell.
Target.
Or a Fire Warrior, I suppose.
A lot of good options.
Target 5.
Yeah, just getting Fireflint Lady for follow-up here seems strong. Not that I think you really need that much follow-up anymore. Your game plan is pretty much solidified here.
Again, for those not familiar with the Makanko strategy, you may see so many monsters on the field at one turn, but all of them have 0 attack because that's what this deck is about. Again, it's about putting a monster on the opponent's side of the field and then, well, ramming yourself into it so they take the damage.
It's interesting. So, okay, Geonator has now hit the field.
But we don't have multiple level 3s here.
He opted to link one away, so he still has to find access to another one. Unless he wants to give him something else. Okay, it looks like there's going to be Fire Dance here, which is going to reborn the Hare.
Also could bring it from the hand, technically.
Yeah. Okay.
There's the overlay network. So using the effect of Makanko Fire Dance gave him the extra level 3 he needed, and oh man, here it comes.
Acid Golem in defense.
So it switches control.
Oh,
Activate,
yeah, I
Geonator
know.
Transverser.
Let me read Acid Golem.
The only effect that you really need to be aware of is that you can't special summon.
It's okay.
I don't think
Let's go
Tyler's
to the next
as
game.
excited about everything that's happened so far anymore.
Yeah, he's picking up his cards. I think he realized that he wasn't going to be able to do much if he controlled Asagol and the Destruction. So again, he's a fan of 5Ds, maybe not so much of Zexal.
Simon takes the lead here in game one, really just showing what his deck tries to do. Didn't even get to finish his combo here. I think Acid Golem was really all it took, especially after like perfect knowledge of Tyler's hand here. I don't think there's anything that he thought he could draw to get out of that situation. He probably knew that there was not going to be anything that would remove the Acid Golem from the field, so he would just have to pass back and Mikanko would just be able to do his thing, swing in a couple times, and the Acid Golem would deal all the damage it needs.
Shows you all the power of Age of Overlord. Gen and Ken allow so many different decks to find the options that they're looking for, but they are in and of themselves warrior monsters that fit in warrior decks. So obviously that's made Mikanko and Chernobyl work out really well. But I'll be curious to see what other duelists use. I mean, it's a big package, but it's a package that lets you really grab whatever you want as long as you're able to get those tactics and thrusts online.
All right, if you're Tyler, what do you do now? You know you're playing against Mikanko. It seems like he was very unfamiliar up to this point about the strategy. How much do you change? Because I think Tearlament is one of those decks that can be very flexible as to what it does. It doesn't necessarily try to do the same thing every time. It has a usual end board goal, but it can try to navigate itself differently when it knows it has to do something very specific. And I think against Mikanko, you do have to do something very specific.
You do, but also the risk with the Tearlament side decking, you run the risk that if you're trying to go ahead and send cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard, you lose those cards you brought into the side deck. So I think the obvious answers here, if Tyler wasn't already using Droll and Lockbird, hopefully he has access to that because Droll and Lockbird would be so huge to stop the Mikanko strategy from, well, doing what we just saw Simon put the Masterclass for.
Absolutely, especially, again, we keep saying this, but if you're able to go first, set up your own game plan, and then also have a copy of Droll and Lockbird, that makes everything so much harder because a lot of decks can play into Droll and Lockbird well. They can just find ways to make do without getting all of their necessary searches. But if you have to try to play with a handicap into a field, it's going to be extra difficult. Usually not something that most decks can overcome.
We'll love to see. I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of Tyler's strategy here, but if he is going first, I mean, Tearlaments has the ability to perhaps, think about it from Simon's side, he's got 52 cards in that deck, so there's the possibility that he only draws things like just Mikanko cards that you can't activate on your opponent's turn. So Tyler will be able to press forward really hard with the Tearlaments and maybe just set up enough stuff to where, well, Simon can't get going.
But the thing about Simon's list is he is playing a lot of cards to effectively go second. He's not really trying to stop his opponents from doing anything. He's trying to deal with it after the fact because he's already forced to play the thrusts and the talents because he's playing Ken and Gen. He wants to get maximum value from all of those. So to pair with that, he's also playing 3 copies of Lava Golem in the main deck.
Oh, that's crazy. But I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's not an acid golem, but it is a golem nonetheless. So giving your opponent a 3,000 attacker and crashing into it, whichever way that comes, it's good for the Mikanko.
4.5 years.
Sorry, can I still side? I've not handed my deck.
You have 3 minutes to complete siding and present your deck.
Players do have 3 minutes to side deck, but they do have to operate within that.
So you have 5 seconds to do so.
But it looks like he is presented, so he might be locked in there.
I hear conflicting things about the 3 minutes thing. A lot of head judges and stuff say
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a set rule. It's more about, you're not supposed to just sit there and side for 3 minutes just because you can.
Exactly, exactly. Judges discussing that, making sure the players are educated. The idea is, though, you're supposed to keep up the pace of game. You can't just be hanging out for no reason.
And generally, the biggest thing is, if you present your deck, the deck is presented.
That is a presented deck, absolutely. All right, so he's presented it, so whatever's in there, that's what's going to be in there.
Some sportsmanship there.
Looks like it's back to the sacred time, the time to duel.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, this event? What about period? Like all time?
Yeah, Tyler's just happy to be there. Looks like the players are getting ready to get started here with game number 2 here. Could be the final game here in the Swiss of YCS Richmond.
Looks like we're good to start. Tyler's a lucky duelist. We'll see if that luck pays off in this Tearlament strategy now. It is nice to occasionally get a couple of names at once on just one sending of the cards to the graveyard.
Activate the field spell, Primeval Planet, Pearl of Rhino.
Pearl of Rhino is like a very strong start, gets you access to everything you need. Normally, you want to add something along the lines of Tearlament Shiren or Tearlament,
Going to add Tearlament Shiren.
yeah, Shiren, or sometimes Tearlament Kashira is the best way to go. You just want to start putting those top cards of your deck in the graveyard as soon as you can. You don't really want to start with Rhinoheart when you don't already have setup, because Rhinoheart's not the card it used to be anymore when you don't have Kiklos.
It is not, unfortunately. But that's what's so great about Tearlaments is this
He's
deck.
discarding Galbeck.
Oh, okay.
it's oh man, and there it goes.
Oh, wow.
That is going to be 8 cards.
Let's start with a 3, looks like.
I'm going to go Chainlink 1 Merly, Chainlink 2.
I'd imagine Chainlink 2 Kelbeck, Chainlink 3 Solid.
You're allowed to write down notes on anything required to maintain the correct game state. So like hard once per turns, that counts.
Chainlink 1 Merly.
Chainlink 1 Merly, Chainlink 2 Kelbeck, Chainlink 3 Soliak.
Yep, all right, that makes a lot of sense. I believe Sulik will probably add a copy of Tearlament Kashtira at this point.
Talking about being a lucky duelist, having just multiple cards activate at the same time, and we're about to send 5 more cards. That's insane.
I don't think it's necessarily lucky. That's all the deck does, because you're not playing any other cards that don't do this.
Well, true, but imagine he sent, well, a Droll and Lockbird, one card that would help him against Simon. That wouldn't be good. We got lucky here.
I don't think you'd choose to get Sheeran then. I think you would just do something else.
Well, looks like we are dumping some of the Imsa T, and also saw a Danger Nessie in there as well.
And then Merly resolves a fusion
Yep,
summon.
no effects from Simon. Don't think there's any additional effects. There is a Medora, but no additional effects there. But you're going to be able to use the Imseti, which is a dark.
Glory of Horus to
So
fusion
to
summon
resolve
Mud
the effect
Dragon
of Merly, this could easily make a Mud Dragon of the Swamp here.
That's exactly what we've got.
So half of Bahamut Shark already on the field.
Triggers, so now it's open game state. I'm going to
Activate Tearlament's Kashtira, or just normal summon that Rhino Heart in his hand.
I added Tearlament Kashtira.
Oh, it's going to be the Tearlament Kashtira.
No, just confirming that he added that off the Sulik here.
Oh, I see.
I think at this point, maybe you just want to play it safe, normal summon Rhino Heart, send another copy of Tearlament's Kashtira, just to either send the top 2 cards.
Tearlament's Havness to the grave.
Oh, no. Okay, he's going to opt to use Havness here. So that's the second name of the 3, with Sheeran being on the field.
I'm going to use Danger Nessie.
So this is going to make a Garura with the Nessie.
You're going to go back in, right? Because otherwise I need to shuffle.
Sorry, there's the deck. I went and sent Rhino over.
Making sure not to mess up those bottom fusion materials, so we'll shuffle the rest of the deck.
The Tearlament monsters do have to put those cards on the bottom, so you do want to shuffle the rest of the deck, make sure it's properly randomized.
And Havness.
Okay.
So now Garura's on the field.
So this is going to be summon number 5, is going to be the Bahamut Shark, which will force out a Nibiru the Primal Being if Simon has one. Otherwise, we're going to be playing with 1 free interruption after this point.
Lava Golem can Fire Flint Lady. Does this do
I think once you see the Lava Golem, you're pretty aware that Nibiru is probably not the card you're dealing with anymore, but now you have to be aware that Lava Golem exists.
Yeah, Lava Golem be able to get rid of that likely totally awesome that we're about to see, and any other powerful cards that Tyler put out.
That's fine.
I think maybe
Summon totally
when you see something along the lines of Lava Golem, that means you try to set up Scream Sulik, and you see you have the Tearlament Kashtira in your hand, maybe you try to hold it, knowing that any field that you make could easily be put immediately in the graveyard. You want to keep some interruption in your hand, so that at least you can trigger the Scream and the Sulik after your opponent starts committing to the field already.
Absolutely. Is that the card destruction that got back to his hand just about? Can't see that spell, but that'd be an interesting way to...
It is card destruction, yeah.
I'm going to summon Tearlament's Kashtira.
All right, he's opting to use the Tearlament's Kashtira here.
You activate till
Yes.
yes, yes. Because you've already normal summoned.
Yes.
So he's going to banish
Banish
the Sulik.
Soliak to summon it.
Sure.
I will activate the effect to send 3 cards to the top of my deck.
All right, let's
I
see
don't
what these
think we
next
need to
3 cards
shuffle,
are.
because I shuffled
You shuffled
after halfness. Yep, that's
Yeah.
fine.
It's going to be Happy, Imseti, and another Tearlament Kashtira, so that's going to be 2 more. That's going to be Scream and Malicious.
Oh,
Those are a
that's
powerful
good.
2.
Spell Trap.
Yep.
That's going to be really great with already having the Garura on the field, being easily able to make a rank 6 monster.
Soliak.
Grabbing another copy of Sulik here. You're going to want to make some space right now. You probably want to link away maybe the Bahamut Shark and the Tearlament's Kashtira, maybe?
No, it's okay.
It's been nice that he's only hit the 1 Malicious and not 2. Obviously, there's a Destiny Hero Denier that can go ahead and flip the script on that, but things are really working out for Tyler in this duel for all the cards he sent to the graveyard. No waste, all just good stuff.
Now it's all about finding a way to trigger the Sheeran if you really want to, but not necessarily that you even have to, because you do have access to the Sulik, so you're able to use that aggressively to try to trigger the Sheeran if you'd like to. You also have access to the Medora to shuffle back a Tearlament Kashtira or potentially a Rhino Heart, I guess. You probably don't want to shuffle back that one. But just to do so, in order to trigger the Pearl Rhino, pop on one of your own cards if you'd like to trigger those effects.
Looks like we've got our SP Little Knight out there, so we're just trying to build as much as we can, but we're also using its effect to banish the Ohime from the graveyard.
Yeah, might as well, right? You did, in fact, use an Xyz monster for the summon, and now you're going to be activating that Malicious here, and be able to summon another copy of Malicious from the deck.
You added Soliak from Scream, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I only know just 1 card.
Yes.
Now, here's an interesting question. Is there any merit to just activating the card destruction and hoping that you end up discarding whatever it is that Simon needs? We know that these Infernoble decks, when they're playing against Tearlaments, if those cards go to the graveyard, they have to do extra work to kind of pile things back into their hand to use it.
I think when you look at a card like card destruction, you want to craft your hand first. Make sure it's like, because there's no reason, there's almost never a reason to do a desperation card destruction because it benefits your opponent more because they're getting maximum value because they get every card from their hand. Whereas you're losing that card destruction, right? So it's almost like effectively a card lost. So you want to at least try to add as many cards to your hand. But here we're trying to generate as much value as we can. We have Garura drawing a card, and then Agido is going to send the top 5 cards of both players' decks. Get more information here. And honestly, sending the cards from the top of the deck is easier than trying to deal with the cards in the hand.
Let's see. We did get that reinforcements of the army. Looks like we also had Jess Synchron, Huli the Mikanko, again the Diamond Tiger, and looks like a Mikanko Arabesque.
Yeah, unfortunately, had to go into the Little Knight already. It would have been really useful to be able to banish that Jet. We do have access to Denier, though. Potentially an additional copy of Malicious coming out later. But the Malicious is still hanging under the Beatrice for now. We do see, okay, so it's like another Teal'c Kashtira, Keldo, Card Destruction, and the Sullic inside Tyler's hand.
I'm going to activate card destruction.
He's doing it, the card destruction. I wonder what cards we're going to see
Why wouldn't you
discarded.
set the Sullic? Like, I feel like...
Oh, but look at Simon. I'm telling you, it's one of these heads-up plays. It's a duel or die moment. You just got to guess, but sometimes you do discard the Lava Golem from the opponent's hand.
Yeah, his hand was very, very strong. But really, giving up the Sullic when you've already used it this turn, I mean, you got to scream at Trivic Karma. I mean, I guess you can just get some more if you get the Trivic Karma to the grave.
I think you used
He forgot that he already used Sullic.
Yes.
That makes more sense. The Trivic Karma and the Terraforming already just being really dead here.
The terraforming doesn't do much when you've already got that planet, but it did kind of protect him, so it was a more offensive card destruction than something that built up his own strategy.
Huge gamble for sure, but maybe it paid off because we technically don't know if Simon's hand got better or not. Probably didn't get better. His hand looked very strong.
right now. You've got 2.
With plays like this, I wonder if that's an argument for Cup of Ace as the new pot of greed.
I suppose if you make an agreement with every single person in the room to always call heads, or just agree it's always heads, then everyone can just pot agreed.
Well, there's no cheating here. He's been able to really get through his cards. So just neat to see some older cards. I mean, that's a card that has been through this game for years.
I will activate Scream. And,
But a more recent card looks like Teal'c Scream hitting the board.
He can,
it's your move.
Yep, no, he's just going to pass back here.
2 cards in hand.
So he still has both Keldo and Medora if he wants to try to trigger that Sheeran.
I didn't. I have a Terraforming in my hand. I wasn't.
Oh, you didn't? Wait, didn't you activate it?
Yeah, I don't have any more Curler Rhinos in my deck.
So it would be an illegal activation. Does get to keep the terraforming. Doesn't really do much, but now both players know that it's a dead card in the hand.
So it's my turn.
Yes.
All right, Simon is up.
It looks like there is Mikanko Kagura as well as Ohime in his hand already.
What did I say? Oh. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
Players are just trying to stay focused here. Judges are making sure that they exhibit good sportsmanship while you're on camera here.
Can I not say anything now anymore then?
Simon a little gun shy here, but he's still going to be able to play his cards.
You are good to go.
Anything in the draw phase?
No. No. You're all good.
Tyler just letting him proceed into main phase.
Simon trying to figure out how he can navigate this field. It's not like there aren't a lot of interruptions here. I mean, you know that if you commit a monster to the field, you're going to be sending the top 3 cards of Tyler's deck to the grave. I don't think the attack loss really matters when all your monsters have 0 attack, but we still have to deal with Totally Awesome as well as the Little Knight. The Beatrice will be able to trigger any effect at any point as well, and you can't forget about both Keldo and Medora in the graveyard with Perla Rhino still active. There's a lot of different layers here to Tyler's field.
Absolutely, and Simon has to think through his combo and keep in mind that many of those cards from his deck are already in the graveyard. The good news is he's got 52 cards in the deck, so he has some cards he can lose, but he still has to make something, and he's going to start with Lava Golem.
Okay, opting to choose the Totally Awesome and the Beatrice.
Tyler's saying, I agree, knowing that's the right play to make.
Targets. So
I mean, I think, honestly, any single one of those options would have been solid choices. But, like, yeah, so this is the part where if you're going to deal with Totally Awesome, it's going to be able to add back any Aqua from the graveyard, or, sorry, a water, and it's going to be adding the Teal'c Kashtira, which is going to be able to trigger at any point. You could use a Scream as well because a monster was summoned while a Teal'c monster is on the field. But maybe you want to wait on that just because you have the Tearlament Kashtira, you can be a little bit more aggressive with it when your opponent has cards on the field, which I think is a little bit more ideal.
Target.
I mean, you have to target the Little Knight, right? Or, okay, you're going to go after the Sheeran just to turn the Scream off, which is not actually true. You let this go. Yeah.
It looks like it is going to go ahead and change boards there. It's too bad it's not one of a level 3 monster. Be obviously helpful for the strategy, but it's level 4. We'll see what that does.
It is at least bigger than the Little Knight if he wants to throw away his battle phase, but I think for Simon's strategy, that is not something you ever want to do.
Especially not when you have a Lava Golem on the other side. Lava Golem's purpose is to be that big body that causes damage. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to waste it unless you had a Makanko on the field. Main event is pausing and freezing play, but we've still got 15.5 minutes left on the clock for our featured match.
When you attempt to exit main phase, I'm going to activate Tearlament's Kashtira to summon it.
Yep, this makes a lot of sense. You don't want to lose away. I mean, honestly, I think I would be okay with Makanko losing the Little Knight and just making sure they don't have a battle phase. So this allows Simon to stay in the main phase, which I think is ideal for him. But at this point, you are effectively removing the threat of the Sheeran because the Scream will make Sheeran lose 500 attack, which makes it smaller than the Little Knight. And there's a Rhino Heart, a Heartbeat, and a Foolish Burial. Rhino Heart will not be able to activate because we do know the contents of his hand. And then we do get an additional 3 from the Scream, of course, as well as the Tearlament's Kashtira. So Merly will be able to activate if he wants to.
I will activate the
and the Heartbeat will be able to add back the Sullik.
Merly, Chainlink 1, and Tearlament's Heartbeat, Chainlink 2.
So it looks like Merly will be Chainlink 1, Heartbeat will Chainlink 2, and Heartbeat's going to grab the Sulliek.
So this is actually really, really interesting here. Another point that might actually be able to force out the battle phase if Tyler sees it. Oh, no, sorry, the Muddragon was already in the graveyard. I was about to say, if you make a Muddragon here and you call the appropriate type that you care about the most, probably going to be Wind, you can't actually equip the Huli with anything.
That's true. That would be a really interesting heads-up play, but it looks like it's going to be Predaplant Draco Stapelia or Stapelia.
Activate the effect of Perlarino.
Okay, he's going to use Perlarino to destroy his Sheeran.
That's really interesting that that's how that play ended up. The change of heart didn't work out.
Oh, I assumed that was going to happen immediately as soon as Sheeran changed, because you already had the option to destroy your own Sheeran anyway, and it was likely something that you're going to have to do. This just made it a lot easier. But now, again, you could go for that Muddragon line. Oh, no, we're just going to take this opportunity to summon that Rhino Heart, which, I mean, also does make sense. It just doesn't do anything because there's no cards on Simon's field. But it is big.
You're absolutely right there, but it's true that Simon is just struggling to get established, at least in this duel.
I mean, so yeah, Tyler's just playing the default strategy here. I think making the Muddragon would do a lot more for him. Yeah, Sheeran and Merly have been activated.
Add a card from grave to hand. Merly to fusion summon.
So I'm still in main phase 1.
Yep, we're still in main phase 1. Finally able to commit a little bit more here. We got Kashtira Fenrir.
Drago Stapelia, effect target Fenrir.
Yeah, we're going to be just forcing out the Draco Stapelia here.
Okay, so
It's going to be level 1 and cannot use its effect back because its effects are negated as long as it has that Predaplant counter on it.
how you can mill 3 cards. And one of them is Sulliek, one of them is Terraforming.
So really, the only thing you have to deal with now is just the Little Knight.
This, tribute this.
Sure.
Oh, we're going to tribute.
So now he gets to summon a level 1 for almost free at this point.
Feels pretty free.
There's going to be Renault, which is able to use that graveyard that he was loaded up now.
So to a degree, Simon's still in the game, it seems, based on how he's making his plays, and so he might have been just trying to weed out as many Tearlament effects as he possibly could before getting started, but here's Keldo getting his game on. And let's see what the targets are.
It's going to be that equip spell that was targeted. So yeah, wanted for the free draw here, because now the Sinful Swell is in the grave. He's targeted the Arabesque. You're going to put back the Arabesque, and you're going to put back the Jet, I believe.
I'm going to target Jet Synchron.
And because you still have the Medora in the grave for later, you're still fine here if anything else happens to be activated in the graveyard, but this just at least keeps it in check. And you want to make sure you keep the Medora alive for the green spell. Say it one more time for us.
Hits by Oashidori.
Thank you.
Taking a full look at the graveyard there. Plenty of great cards. Not too much of the central strategy for Simon, so there's still plenty of options left in the deck. god.
Still has to deal with the Little Knight. That one is the face-up card on the field that hasn't activated yet.
Sorry.
Certainly a rough duel for sure, and we've only got about 11 minutes left on the clock here.
Simon wants to be really mindful at this point.
Activate this to dump.
Going to use Effective Ceremony to send another McConaughey card from the deck to the grave.
Now he could be setting up the Reborn combo that we've been describing, and that's exactly what seems like it's going to be.
Simon is really looking for Tyler to make a mistake here. Yep, he's using the effect to target the Huli in the grave to reborn both.
But with the Medora there, this may not be that big of a problem on Tyler's side.
I don't think there was a normal summon committed just yet as well, right, to Simon's side of the field. So I'm wondering how long he needs to hold the Little Knight.
Yeah.
No, there hasn't been a normal summon. We've only seen, what, Change of Heart, Kashtira Fenrir, and then the Renaud.
Huli effect to add.
So we are going to
We allowed it. That's great. Okay, you know.
That's fine.
I don't know. I just think Tyler is unaware of what happens when you let these monsters hit the field.
Yeah, we are just adding that trap card as well, too. So it'll be the Mikanko Spirit Walk.
So when you're looking at your grave and setting up a play, if it's your slow play warning, it's just a warning. If you're
There's a lot of options in the graveyard. Like,
Judges just making sure players keep up the pace of play. There are a lot of options here, but again, at a Yu-Gi-Oh competition, it's not just about playing the game, it's about playing the game within the rules of the tournament here.
yeah.
I have my decision is that I'm issuing a warning. Have you received one earlier in the tournament? All right. You guys are going to get a 3-minute time extension automatically.
So it looks like we'll get a 3-minute time extension. Might impact the game, but it'll give us the opportunity to see this duel to the finish.
Yep, absolutely. Like now we're playing with a little less than 13 minutes on their clock here.
I did that. That's better. He
But
made
now that Simon has been given this opportunity, he only needs to put up a few more monsters. Or that can, sorry, not even just monsters, just a few more actual Mikonkos to be able to swing in on that damage. Because, do you see what I see? That Kaleido Heart's in attack position with a Pro Rhino. That monster has 3,500 attack, and Lava Golem deals 1,000 during the standby phase. He needs to hit twice.
It
That's
is very, very large. It's one of those things where, again, we've been talking about how Mikanko just does these big chunks of damage, and by letting the Huli, the Jeweled Mikanko, appear on the board again, this really might be it.
Married?
Yeah, so all he has to do is summon one more monster. He doesn't need to activate any monster effects, just has to swing in twice into the Kaleido Heart. If Tyler sees any answer here, it's going to have to be along the lines of using his own Little Knight to banish his own monster, because he's not going to be able to target any of the Mikonkos now.
activate Arabesque.
Oh, and there's the Arabesque. This might be the turn of the tempo of the duel for sure.
Conco, it takes control of the card.
No. Special summons a Makanko from hand or deck, and then bounces the
And
monster.
you're targeting Lava Golem.
Yes.
I'm going to SP Little Knight, targeting Lava Golem and targeting Renaud.
Oh, no, that's a heads-up play. We're going to put that Lava Golem back into his opponent's hand. However, that does mean the Lava Golem could be summoned again.
I think he was just, yeah, so we're just going to use the Little Knight to banish both. They will both return to the field during the end phase, which is fine for Simon, because the Kaleido Heart is still there. He just needs to summon one more monster here, still.
I'm gonna
SP Little Knight always putting in work in so many different strategies. If you've got two monsters, well, you've got SP Little Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to declare top.
Oh, no,
on
okay,
this.
couldn't find another body there.
Yes.
So it's going to be 35 from the Pearl Rhino.
If you on
45.
45.
Now, the Lava Golem is going to return.
Gonna main phase 2.
I mean, if it isn't the full 8,000, I'm not so worried about it. Because as long as you have one life point, you have enough to play.
My turn?
Yep.
All right.
So now all he has to find is some non-targeting removal, and could be an easy game to wrap up. So you're looking for something along the lines of Typhon or Access Code.
Main phase 1.
While you're in standby, Lava Golem is mandatory.
A Lava Golem is mandatory, so I'll lose 1,000 life points.
We're going to go ahead and take 1,000 life points off the top there.
Thank you, sir.
Waiting for the life point counter to update, but I believe we should be at 3,500 left, right? The 3,500 from the Tearlaments and then 1,000 from Lava Golem.
Absolutely. So I'm looking here. I don't think Typhon can be active, because did Simon summon from the extra deck at all in the previous turn?
I can't target Mikanko cards.
Don't believe so. There really wasn't a whole lot that happened. We couldn't normal summon, obviously, because of the Lava Golems. That means the only other real summons were Renaud and Huli, the Jeweled Mikanko.
So, you can still destroy the equipped spells, but you just can't target them?
Let's take a look at...
Well, okay, I didn't even see the Shyama hit the graveyard, but that is literally the ideal. That is the perfect answer to the situation. Because again, the destruction effect of Shyama, as far as your opponent's spells and traps, does not target.
It's absolutely right. And so it's a great card to include. It's nice to borrow a little bit from the Unchained strategy here in the Tearlaments deck. And so that might be able to clear things out as far as the equip spell is concerned. And then all of a sudden you can target your opponent's monsters. You can just grab what you need to and maybe end this duel.
Yep, and an Aqua was actually an Aqua was not sent to the graveyard. It was a warrior, but I think an Aqua will hit to the graveyard eventually. I don't think it matters too much here.
Okay, sure.
Will the judges catch that really quick?
I'm going to set one.
Yeah, I do see that what you mean. It looks like that's Tearlaments Rhino Heart.
Activate Shiyama to.
Yeah, Shama will be able to destroy a card he controls, and then optionally. Oh, I mean, it just, yeah, it can only destroy a spell and trap here, but it will be able to destroy the equip spell in this instance because it does not target, which will unlock all of Huli's effects.
Will goes again for it.
Yep, and then we'll have to go to game 3 here with just under or just over 8 minutes on the clock.
Have to get that time extension out to the board there. Now, Tyler really got to show off what that deck is about and how he's managed to keep the record that he has. But again, just like we talked about earlier, now we're on game 3, and the winner of this duel is likely to go to the top. But unfortunately, there could be only one winner in this. Or it could draw. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, that would be a disaster for both of them, wouldn't it?
Both the decks are pretty explosive, though. As long as people are keeping up a consistent level of play, I do think that we can finish this duel in just one of those giant boards. I mean, both players have shown how good these decks really are. Tearlaments obviously has been favored. I mean, people have a certain opinion when they're playing against it, but there is no denying how powerful it continues to be despite its hits on the Forbidden Limited list. And Bakonko is just a really interesting, tricky deck to play against, especially when you're having that Infernoble package in there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Simon to keep the pace of play here. He wants to be able to deal or do as much of his combo as he can reasonably. And Tyler, I mean, he's playing a strategy that typically does not do anything to interrupt the opponent, and this is a strategy that you have to interrupt. It's not something you just let happen unless you happen to be playing copies of Forbidden Droplet. I think that is like the perfect answer to everything that would happen from the Bakonko Infernoble strategy. But I don't think Tearlament can never afford to give up those cards for no value, such as the case of Forbidden Droplet, right? Because even though you are sending cards to the graveyard, you're sending them for no actual value because they're not free. Like, sending them from the top of your deck is not expending resources from your hand, right? And so any advantage you get is just additional. But when you have to spend those cards from the cards that you were given in your top 5 or top 6 in this instance, it's not nearly as strong.
But at the same time, we've seen Tyler make some very brave, bold moves, like that card destruction in game 2. So he might do something that's a little off, you know, the beaten path, but it does work. Let's just see what happens in this duel for sure, because you never really know, right? You make that gamble, you flip that coin, you roll those dice, and you just have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
All right, so players just getting final instructions from the judges there. This is going to be a relatively short game 3, but that doesn't mean it won't be any less exciting.
So make sure to shuffle as many times as he can. He wants to make sure he doesn't clump up those cards. 52 cards, you know, things can happen, especially when there's so many combo pieces. You want to make sure you shuffle well. Because oftentimes when you do go through a combo at least like once or twice, a lot of the certain pieces end up together.
Absolutely. You really do want to make sure you sufficiently randomize that deck because, well, you need to draw it in a good order for sure, but it does have to be a random one.
I mean, there's multiple combinations of cards that work, but you just want to still try to keep up as much of variance as you can. And here we are, going into game 3 of round 11 here at YCS Richmond. It's do or die right now. Can Simon get there? What do you think is going to be the most ideal card for Tyler here? I'm thinking of one specific level 1 monster.
Well, I mean, it just depends, though. We got to see what his hand, and we're actually getting to see it now. I
there.
did see the level 1 monster. There's that Droll Lockbird. The Droll Lockbird really could pay dividends here. It could shut the turn down and leave Tyler in a winning position. You're absolutely right. That level 1 spellcaster is pretty important here.
Tyler's hand actually looks fairly strong. He has a copy of Tearlament's Scream as well as a copy of Tearlament's Kashira. If he really needs to make a desperation play, he can. Oh, it looks like it's going to be a normal summon Renault. Not ideal here, but maybe a special summon. Oh, they're going to have to use Arabesque directly on the Renault. That's actually not bad.
Not bad. You got a warrior, got your quick spell, so you can go ahead and keep going. But
yeah, and Renault back in the hand means you can special summon it later.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let's take a look at which Bakonko he's going to grab.
Yeah, I'm not really sure which one you want as a starter here. Is it just Huli off the bat?
I guess it depends on what his hand is. If he already has Huli, that might be a little redundant. But it looks like we're going to go ahead and get Hade.
This is going to be the one that lets you add another spell here.
Yes.
Which makes a lot of sense. I think spells are a lot more proactive.
That's fate. Sorry.
So there's the first card added to the hand.
It's going to be Fire Dance, and then there's the Drone Lockbird. Let's see if Simon has any response. It doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like we're having any called by the grave. Nothing to stop it this time. So that's going to stop the cards from being added from the deck to the hand, but he might have a different way to get there, right? He can still send cards from the deck to the graveyard. He can still access stuff from there, too.
Yeah, and especially because it is a Fire Warrior, so I believe Hare is the Warrior in the strategy. And there's going to be a Triple Tactics Talents to look at Tyler's hand here, I imagine, considering all the other options aren't available anymore.
Looks like we got Danger Nessie, Tearlament's Kashtira, we have Medora, and looks like Tearlament's Scream on the side.
Sorry, just think about this for a second.
That is... I mean, I see two options that are, like, really make the cut here. I'm thinking about it. Like, yeah, the Nessie gives the most randomization.
Scream, Tear Cashier.
But I think like it was between that and the Tearlament's Kashtira for me, or even just a Scream. And then I think the Scream at least keeps it as random. But there's so many things that can go wrong with the Danger. It creates this chain, especially with Nessie specifically, where even if it misses once, it gives you another chance. It lets you get access to Mothman. But Tearlament's Kashtira, if you leave it in the current position, he has to at least give up the Scream in his hand to summon it, and then just the top three.
Certainly put him in a clinched position. There wasn't any one card he could have taken out that would have stopped any plays, but he's definitely made them less optimal now that the Danger Nessie is gone.
Yeah, but something along the lines of Foolish Peril Kids could really open up Tyler's hand here.
Yeah.
Oh, but there is actually a copy of Arclight. Arclight makes this really simple, so Tearlament's Kashtira not going to be doing any kind of work right now.
We'll pass time.
It's pretty easy when all you've got is a Kashtira or Rise Heart-like effect of banishing those cards. That's going to be face up, not face down, but that is going to be difficult from Tearlament's. But Tearlament's did decently against Kashtira when they could, so let's see how we play against this banish-like effect.
All right, so we do have Hare on the field equipped with Fire Dance, so Hare can't be destroyed by battle by its own effect, can't be destroyed by card effects by the effect of Fire Dance, and I think that's about it. There's not going to be any targeting protection here. It looks like he redrew the Nessie.
I'm not going to be Danger Nessie.
Thinking.
Got very lucky on that.
I mean, I think there was a lot of better draws, but especially when Herald of Arclight is already on the field, you're really playing at random right now. You're relying on drawing something strong.
Did we shuffle?
Yeah.
Okay, think about this.
I don't even know why Simon would be upset at drawing a Nessie at this point. You have an Arclight on the field. But this, if it is able to summon itself, it's at least going to be able to enter battle phase, clear the Arclight, and then go from there. And the Arclight will get a lot of value, though, because it does happen to just add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand when it leaves the graveyard.
Now, card has put in a lot of work across the years, whether it's being used in fairy decks, whether it's being used in ritual decks, sometimes both.
I think, yeah, this is interesting. Simon is going to use the Arclight here to destroy the Nessie. Arclight, I mean, he does know the contents of Tyler's hand at this point, but yeah, like this forces out the Tearlament's Kashtira, and potentially a battle phase is all Tyler needs. If he was able to force out the battle phase with Nessie just hitting the field and forcing to attack over the Arclight, things could have been a lot more dire. And look at this.
Shayama
That was
Heartbeat.
perfect. That was
Wow.
perfect.
That is incredible.
You have access to Shayama, which will be able to destroy the Fire Dance. You get the Heartbeat that gets to add back the Sullic, which you're going to able to set it to summon back the Shayama to put itself on the field. And then you just get to add any card with the Sullic here.
You can read the cards, yeah.
Just absolutely incredible that he was able to find that non-targeting removal exactly at the time he needed.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen from the top of a Tearlament strategy, but that might have been well, it could have been better, obviously. Agito and Kelbeck were not seen, but this was pretty precise.
Well, who needs Agito and Kelbeck when you send the cards directly that you exactly need? But we're going to go ahead and start resolving chain links here.
I'm going to normal summon Rhino Heart and activate its effect.
Yep, so you get to normal summon the Rhino Heart here. Oh, does he have an additional response in hand?
I think this might be the first time we saw Rhino Heart all duel actually using its effect from the field.
Yeah, maybe. So Sheeran is going to be able to use its effect. Looks like he's going straight into Kaleido Heart. That also makes sense. It's really simple to just go ahead and deal with the Fire Dance that way. Or actually, no, you can just target any of it. So you just put back the Hare. Yeah, and then it's really simple to go into battle phase at this point. You can just summon one more monster, yeah? So this is going to be able to summon the Shayama.
Anything else?
Huh?
Anything else?
I'm going to...
Yep, use the Shayama in graveyard to destroy.
Shiyama.
Yeah, absolutely. That means he is getting the bodies on board he needs, and he might be clinching out this duel.
Yeah, oh, Kaleido Heart's a fiend. You actually get to destroy the Kaleido Heart itself. Kaleido Heart's going to be able to send another card here. Maybe you want to send 2 more cards to Tearlament Kashtira. Yep, that's going to be the case.
All right, well, we've seen quite a lot from the top of the deck lottery here. Let's see what the next 2 entries are.
Rhino Heart and Scream. That is, you do not, I believe you do not have a tier limit cards in your hand. You have the Medora, which is known for both players here, so you're not going to be able to summon that Rhino Heart for the last bit of damage, but you are able to add another copy of Scream, just cause.
There you go.
That's nice to have some backup just in case this turn is not what clinches it out, except we only have a few seconds left on the clock here.
This is a lot of damage. This is 6,300? No, sorry, 7,300. Leaving Simon at just 700. And then he's going to be able to at least make a Little Knight here with a copy of... Are you really going to use the Solid... Are you really using the Kaleido, though, I guess? I mean, I guess that's fine. You do still have... Yeah, just going to get rid of the Renaud. And then that is enough. Simon takes the loss here. Tyler is able to continue with his tier limit strategy.
We've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Voice actors win duels before, but never quite like this.
Just looks into the crowd in disbelief, I guess, at how the situation played out. That was the perfect 3 cards from the top of his deck.
Absolutely. Well, our match winner is Tyler again. Very lucky duelist, showed that just he got the cards he needed. Hopefully the Heart of the Cards continues to help him out in the rest of his future duels and everybody here in the competition, because we still have so much left.
Absolutely. Droll and Lockwood really showed, like, again, we talked that those interruptions, those kind of cards, you don't really get to see in the tier limit strategy. And if you do play any of them, they're going to be those ones that have a huge impact in the game where they can almost do the job by themselves, and Droll and Lockwood is one of those cards.
Absolutely. I mean, it was just insane. He got the Droll and Lockbird right at the beginning of the turn, and every time he was sending cards to the graveyard, none of them were the wrong ones, right? It was just the stuff that he needed. So it was a really exciting duel to have, and we'll be back soon after interviewing our winner and talk to Tyler exactly how he feels about his duel. Right at the beginning of the turn, and every time he was sending cards to the graveyard, none of them were the wrong ones.
Fala galera, por algum motivo que eu não sei qual é, quando eu consigo configurar o microfone, o som não sai. Então ainda agora eu priorizei o som, né, da live em detrimento do meu microfone, né? Até porque eu ia ter que ficar direto aqui comentando, né, e não dá ainda pra mim, né? Eu tenho que fazer algumas coisas que eu tenho que estar estudando. Mas eu consigo transmitir a live e fazer as coisas que eu tenho que fazer por aqui. Eu gostaria de configurar os dois juntos para quando eu precisar comentar eu conseguir, né? Mas infelizmente não dá. Mas o Discord tá aberto.
E o que falta? E...
Fala, Miller. Nosso querido Miller. Tá assistindo a evolução no CS aí? Alô? Deixa eu ver, acho que não tá pegando o microfone pra ele. Tá ouvindo, Miller? Miller. Acho que ele não tá me ouvindo. Bom, mas tá aí, o Discord tá lá. Eu vou ver se eu consigo mostrar aqui pra vocês. Deixa eu ver como é que eu faço isso. Eu tô com duas coisas abertas aqui, ó. Ó, tá aí o Discord, ó. Quem quiser é só caçar aí no... Cara, eu vou mandar o link lá nos grupos. Quem quiser, só entra aí no bate-papo. Eu não sei ainda se o áudio daqui tá indo pra live, mas eu espero que esteja. E vai ficar aí, quem quiser ir comentando. Infelizmente não vai ter como eu comentar, por conta de ter que ficar o áudio do vídeo, senão não vai ter graça. Então vou deixar aí pra vocês. Não era meu propósito gravar isso aqui, transmitir, mas como tá rolando aí, né, eu tô em casa, vou deixar aí rolando pra vocês. Vocês verem o que melhor interessa pra vocês. Vou só ajeitar aqui. Eu não sei se tem direitos esse vídeo, né? Com certeza tem. Eu não quero que a Common barre o meu canal. Quando começar o duelo eu vou ver se tá certinho aí. Por enquanto eu vou tirar o meu microfone para voltar ao ar o áudio do vídeo e o que o Miller e o pessoal do Discord pode falar. Eu não sei se é a minha porta USB, eu tentei outra aqui, mas não pegou também. O ideal era eu sair do Discord, do OBS e reconfigurar do zero, mas eu não vou ter tempo e vai ter que fechar a live, não é a minha vontade no momento. Então é isso, galera, aproveitem aí, vou deixar aí transmitindo enquanto eu faço minhas outras coisas aqui. Valeu!
Welcome back, and we are here with the winner of our final round of Swiss, the round 11 feature match. Tyler, how does it feel to win with Tearlament here in the feature match stage?
You know, I've been playing Tearlament for a very long time, and you know, it's been a really hard struggle. I feel like every single duel that I've had has been some of the most intense competition that has ever been put in my face, and I think that one day I'm going to take it all the way to the top.
Absolutely, that day could be today. You are just locked it in. You are X2, which is a near guarantee. I'm not going to say guarantee, but near guarantee of getting into that top 32 cut, which will be coming up next. So, what do you think your chances are if you do make the top cut of taking it all?
If I make the top cut, I feel like my chances are very strong. I think that Tearlament has a lot of almost a critical mass of extreme good stuff that is able to make it into the top tables and maybe even make it to the finals where I can take the YCS championship.
Absolutely, I love the confidence here. So talk to me about Tearlament. It's a deck that had a lot of popularity going into YCS Indianapolis, but kind of fell out of favor when we saw its conversion wasn't nearly as strong. Did you think it was stronger for this event, or did you think it just was something that you wanted to play?
I'm not going to lie. I obtained my Tearlament cards to play them at a YCS level when they came out, and I haven't gotten to play in a single YCS since I obtained them. So I was going to take Tearlament either way. However, I think that Tearlament could have been a big winner at that last YCS if we were able to figure out all the right cards, and I think that I figured those out today.
Absolutely. Again, really love the conference here. So, I mean, one last question here. What do you think your worst matchup is? If you're going to be able to go throughout the tournament, what deck do you want to avoid?
My last opponent. That deck was one of the most difficult things I think I've ever done in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, and I think that that deck is on an up-and-coming. Mikanko is an incredible archetype. I've always talked down on that deck, and I have changed my mind. Otherwise, I think that my Rescue Ace matchup is an even matchup. Besides that, I think that Tearlament is the best deck in the game.
Absolutely. You know, I think a lot of people feel the same way. Mikanko has really shown how strong it is, but you were able to take it over here. You were able to show how powerful Droll and Lockbird is, and honestly, I love the confidence. I really hope to see you do well in this tournament, and congratulations again. I hope to see you in the top 32.
Thank you so much.
Don't go anywhere. Top 32 is coming right up next.
now we have reached the final round of Swiss are over and in the books, and it's about to be top 32. I can't wait to see what players and what decks they are using made it. I know we had a lot of skillful players, previous champions that were competing, and now we're going to see who's going to be in that top 32 cutoff.
No, it's been an insane series of duels, but once we get to the top 32, that is the best of the best of the best for this tournament. And so that means every duel from here on out is just those killers going at each other.
Yep, well, now it's time to find out who made the top 32 cut. So I'm going to let the head judge take it away and announce our top 32 players of YCS Richmond.
At this time, we have our top 32 duelists for YCS Richmond, Virginia. In first place, with 31 points, Jesse Dean Cotton. In second place, also with 31 points, Kevin Tian. The following duelists have 30 points. In third place, Christopher Nielsen. In fourth place, Christopher LeBlanc. In fifth place, Justin Andrew Singh. The following duelist has 29 points. In sixth place, Elias Sirianis. The following duelists have 28 points. In seventh place, Landon Edward Oliver. And in eighth place, Joseph Thomas Bellafiore. And in ninth place, Yi Yang Shuang. The following duelists have 27 points. In 10th place, Mark Solis. In 11th place, Pakawat Pamornsut. In 12th place, Richard Matthew Serrato II. In 13th place, Andrew Joseph Crosley. In 14th place, Michael Zhao Li. In 15th place, Moises Coronado. In 16th place, Isaiah Thomas Houston. In 17th place, Stephen Santoli. In 18th place, Timothy Lee Din. In 19th place, Gabriel Idris Brathwaite. In 20th place, Patrick Hoban. In 21st place, Jamie Daniel Meha. In 22nd place, we have David Saul Hernandez Cordic. In 23rd place, Jack Preston Allen III. In 24th place, Tyler Ward Schmock. In 25th place, we have Anthony Shu. In 26th place, we have Lucas James Hennigan. In 27th place, Robert William Doolittle. In 28th place, William Donald Johnson. In 29th place, Evan Tempest Hornick. In 30th place, Aditya Sharish Darap. 31st place, Matthew Joseph Narvaez. And in the coveted 32nd spot, Clifton Scott Land. At At this time, the duelists will have 5 minutes to review their standings. Good luck to all the YCS competitors in top 32.
All right, what an absolutely stacked top 32. Multiple YCS champions in there, including our winner from YCS Indianapolis, world's top 8 competitor, remote dual YCS champion, Steven Santoli. He's back at it again, trying to win 2 North American YCSs in a row. Going to be incredible. I can't wait to see which one of these duelists is going to walk away with that trophy.
No, there's absolutely some amazing names up there, and it's almost like a miniature world championship when you think, again, there are world championship competitors mixed in there, and we know how good these duelists are because some of these duels were featured on our live stream. So again, we're going to get to see an encore performance of their great duels and decks.
Yep, that's right, and you can't forget about Jesse Cotton coming in first place after Swiss. He's already a 5-time YCS champion and a UDS champion. He could be the first ever 6-time YCS champion if he wins this weekend. I really can't wait to see it. I hope, oh man, I would be happy with so many of these players making it out and coming out in first place. It's going to be an epic finals. You're not going to want to miss our top 32. So definitely really excited about this. Stick around. We're going to be right back after a short break, and then we're going to have our first feature match for top 32. Don't go anywhere. You're really not going to want to miss this. Welcome back, everyone. We're here in the beautiful city of Richmond, Virginia. That's right, we're back for another YCS, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series. We've had 11 rounds of Swiss in the books now, and now we are finally down to the top 32 players. Let's take a look at the bracket. We have Clifton Land taking on Jesse Cotton. That's a huge matchup, along with Isaiah against Steven Santoli, our YCS Indie champion. Can't wait to see who's going to come out on top on this part of the bracket. Moving on to the next start, we have Christopher LeBlanc there at the top taking on Evan. Patrick Hoban's going to be taking on Andrew. Justin Singh, you might remember that name, also going to be trying to compete for that YCS trophy.
But that's just half of them. We also have Kevin versus Matthew and Lucas versus Landon. In addition, we have Gabrielle versus Michael, Robert versus Elias, and Pac, who we featured yesterday, is still in contention, dueling against David.
Yeah, really cool to see Pac making it all the way here to the top cut. We saw him pretty early in the tournament. He's on that Infernoble strategy. We're going to see how that's going to carry him on. I know he's been playing Pearly leading up to this event, but switched to a more combo-heavy deck, and maybe that's going to be the key to success for him to make it all the way out to top 32. It's going to be an interesting playoff, and I really don't know which duelist is going to walk away with it all, or which deck is going to come out on top. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's time for the top 32. Let's meet our feature match players of YCS Richmond, top 32.
We have William Johnson from Columbus, Ohio, and his favorite card is Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World.
That's a pretty cool one, and you might remember his opponent is Justin Singh. Last time we saw him, he was getting obliterated by Exodia, but he's back. He's from Cincinnati. His favorite card is Tyralim Kixalos. He definitely maybe didn't have to face Exodia in this tournament, so he was actually able to make it to the top cut. Fantastic to see him back. He was a great sport about it when he was getting obliterated, but now he's back and hungry for that YCS win. He's a veteran of the tournament scene, a great duelist, and we're happy to see him back on the main stage. You know, it's tough coming back from a loss to something like Exodia.
Yeah, but it's a new tournament and it's a new day.
Indeed.
And he took that mindset. He went 10-1 in the Swiss rounds, and now he's ready. And there's just 31 duelists who stand in his way from becoming YCS champion this weekend.
Definitely. I know he's really hoping that his opponent's deck doesn't contain any pathetic cards, or maybe he's hoping there are pathetic cards in the deck this time, but that's just not the case because this is top cut. We saw William go 9-2 in Swiss, and now he made it all the way here to top 32. Justin only with one loss. I mean, the difference has to be no Exodia for him. I guarantee now it's just stuck with him. Every round he's just, man, I really hope I'm not going to face Exodia again. I can't live that down, let that happen twice, but nope. He's back, relentless at it, and playing the same kind of strategy we saw, maybe a few different tweaks to his deck.
It's hard to recover from a loss like that. I think Seto Kaiba still hasn't recovered.
Definitely. It's something that sticks with you for quite a long time. But now he's back in it and only a few rounds away from becoming a YCS champion. Now, his opponent is playing a strategy that we haven't seen on stream yet, but did receive new cards very recently. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it now. The deck he's playing received new cards in Legendary Duelist, Soul Burning Volcano. That's right, it's going to be Salaman Great. It's back again. It's Salaman Solid. It's Salaman here to stay, and I can't wait to see the strategy. I know I've heard from some of his opponents he played in Swiss that his deck is pretty cool, has some unique strategies to it, but, you know, those cards out of Legendary Duelist, Soul Burning Volcano really making an impact. And, I mean, just fire decks right now are just having a great time. There's so much support for fire strategies coming out, and definitely cool to see it here in the top tables, and the top cut even.
Perhaps the card that made the difference, though, is Fire Recovery, which was released even more recently in Age of Overlord.
Yeah,
because we hadn't really seen Salaman Great hitting the top tables prior to its release, and now here is William using it.
Yeah, it definitely probably makes the difference. Yeah, as you're saying, and as I mentioned, the Fire is the name of the game right now. All these sets are including new support for Fire, which notoriously hasn't received a lot of broken cards throughout the years, but now is the time.
Dark and light. Dark and light, Billy.
Yep, now's the time for Fire and Water monsters to rise to the top. So it looks like our duelists are shuffled up and ready to go. Let's go ahead and jump into it. It's game one, top 32, YCS Richmond. It's time to duel. All right, here comes the die roll.
The old man in me is asking, where are the Dark and Light monsters? Dark and Light needs to be the best.
Oh, a 3 versus a 4. It was close, but it does look like William might be going first. He's going to draw his opening hand.
Okay.
And he is playing that Salamangreat strategy. Oh, he opened up with Sanctuary. Not something you want to see in your opening hand, but not too terrible.
He does have Gozen Match in his hand, which is a card that often you do want to see.
Yeah, that could be key for his strategy. With Salamangreat Weasel being able to put a monster on your opponent's side of the field.
Starts with Salamangreat Foxy. Checks the top 3 cards of his deck.
That's a pretty good one.
Yep, gonna grab Gazelle. Salamangreat Gazelle back to 3. So definitely gives Salamangreat a chance to be one of the top contenders again. Now he's gonna link it away for his Salamangreat Baylings.
This is a standard play for the Salamangreat Duelist.
Yep, no effect of Baylings. That's kind of indicative of what he has in his hand. Justin will probably be able to read that he has the Sanctuary already in the hand. Since a Salamangreat monster is into the graveyard, he can special summon Gazelle, and when that's summoned, he can send a Salamangreat monster from his deck to the graveyard. He's going to send Spinny. Spinny can special summon back from the graveyard, and now he's going to overlay it for Mirage Stelio.
Okay.
Mirage Stelio is going to allow him to special summon from the deck.
Yeah, I have no quick effects here.
Yep, it's been a while. You want to double check. Mirage Stelio was on the Forbidden list at one point, came back, and now Salamangreat trying to do their thing yet again. So he's going to detach. Let's see if Justin has any response. Nothing here from Justin, so he's going to be able to special summon out a Salamangreat. Probably going to grab Jaguar. Oh, no, Salamangreat of Fire. Forgot about the brain. Oh, yeah, I think he already has one in his hand as well, but Salamangreat of Fire is going to let him add a Salamangreat monster from the deck to the hand, but he'll be locked into fire monsters for the rest of the turn.
Well, this one has to summon.
It has to summon.
Yeah, so
You're just correcting me.
Yeah, that was correct.
He's getting the Weasel. Looks like he's setting up a play to give his opponent a fire monster and flip Gozen Match.
Yeah, Salamangreat Weasel, really cool card. You can special summon it from your hand. I believe you have 2 Salamangreats in your graveyard, but it just there's a way to special summon it from your hand, and then when it's in your graveyard, you can return it to the deck, special summon a Salamangreat monster from your graveyard to your opponent's side of the field, and you get to draw a card.
Yeah, if you have 2 or more Salamangreat monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon it from your hand.
That's what I thought.
And if a Salamangreat Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Ixies, or Link monster is special summoned to the field while it's in your graveyard, you can target a different Salamangreat monster in your graveyard to place the Weasel on the bottom of your deck, special summon to your opponent's field the other monster, and draw a card.
Yep. Oh no, but here is the Salamangreat Killer, notoriously really good against this deck, and it's Nibiru the Primal being, he's going to be able to send all these monsters to the graveyard and hopefully cut him off from what he was trying to do. But the Weasel will still be in the graveyard. Looks like they're going to add up all the stats real fast so they know how big this token is, but notoriously this card is one of the best cards against the Salamangreat strategy. And Nibiru has been being pretty popular in the main deck of a lot of players this weekend.
That is brutal, although the Gozen Match may come in handy here now that Justin has a light monster.
That's very true. It might be able to bounce back
Though
as long as his token is strong enough.
Though he does use light monsters in his deck. But Justin is starting off with Perlerino, so he'll be able to take a Tearlaments monster from his deck and add it to his hand.
Let's see what he decides to add here. The Nibiru was huge. It looked like William was off to the races with his Salamangreat strategy, but Nibiru quite strong against this deck. But he's going to have Droll and Lockbird to lock down the deck for the rest of the turn after that Shiren is added to the hand. And now he's going to flip up the Gozen Match.
Yeah, he immediately flips it since Justin does have a light monster. That's all he can summon.
Gozen, yep, exactly. Light monsters only. Let's see how he's going to navigate this. William reaching across, just tapping the deck, saying it's good. Justin is using the Horus cards out of Age of Overlord as well, so maybe he'll be able to utilize those in his strategy. Looks like he's thinking about setting one of the shufflers. I think it was Keldo. And then he's going to put his Nibiru in.
How much defense does it have? 31.
3,100, just enough.
That's the worst number you want to hear. It has your attack points plus 100.
Yep. Now, William is also going to be locked under this Gozen Match with this Nibiru token as well, but maybe he'll be able to ride the Nibiru token to victory.
I'm not sure if it's attack points, but I know it's significantly higher than 3,000.
Yep, going to attack over the face-down monster. That's Keldo. That's going to be sent to the graveyard, so now he's going to have a little more just options with that. If he can get a tier monster into the graveyard, he can use the Keldo to shuffle back the tier monster and then use the Pellerino to take out that Gozen Match and potentially advance his strategy. We'll have to see how it comes into play.
Yeah, well, Justin does have some light monsters in his deck he can normal summon. Doesn't look like he has any in his hand, and there aren't really that many.
Looks like he might be replacing his field spell with another copy to add another tier limit named from the hand, and it is what's going to happen. Primeval Planet Pelarino.
If he could get a tier limit monster into his graveyard, he could shuffle it back in with the, was that a Guido in the graveyard?
Keldo, yep.
Oh, Keldo, sorry. The Keldo, yeah, Keldo and Mudoro shuffle. So it's the Keldo in the graveyard to then use Pearlarino's effect to destroy Gozen Match, and then he can start playing. But he'll have to get to that point first without being able to summon any non-light monsters to the field.
All right, looking at his hand. Oh, he could also just put the Nibiru in attack mode, and if that token has more attack, he can just attack into the token as well.
He could, but
and it looks like that's what Justin is considering.
I think it's going to be a massive amount of damage.
Yeah, I'm not certain how much attack the token has. Probably not too bad.
There were quite a few monsters on the field, and some of them were pretty powerful.
Name phase 2. Yeah.
Now his field is open, so he's no longer locked under Gozen Match. He's going to look to use Imseti here.
Imseti effect.
Going to send the tier limit's Rhino Heart with it to add King Sarcophagus and draw a card.
It resolves no Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, so he will be able to do that.
And draw from Seti. Yeah.
Sei's effect is really good when it resolves.
Oh yeah, definitely reason why Horus is so strong in a lot of decks, because you're getting a free card, and you get the main card for your strategy.
I'm just gonna fan it real quick to look at it. Real quick. Yeah.
Now Justin's free to start putting dark monsters on the field, which is the main attribute used in his deck. He's still under Gozen Match for now, but he does have access to a way to get rid of it with relative ease, thanks to Pearlarino's effect.
Normal summon Rhinoheart effect.
Yep, so now he's going to summon Rhino Heart, going to be locked into water monsters now while that's on the field. Going to be able to send a tier limit card from his deck to the tier limit monster from his deck to the graveyard with his Rhino Heart. Going to send Havnus.
Tempties Havnus' effect.
All right, so it looks like he's going to be trying to go for a Mud Dragon of the Swamp here.
And that'll allow him to return a tier limit monster to his deck without using the effect of the Kelbeck.
Yep, so he's going to go 2 darks with different types.
Summon.
So that's going to be Mud Dragon. It's a water monster.
New chain. Effect Pelarino.
On a new chain, now since he put back the Tillet monster, he's going to be able to use the Pelarino, as we mentioned, to take out the Gozen Match. Justin navigating this very well, showing you, as long as my opponent's not playing Exodia, I'm pretty good, and I know what I'm doing and might be able to win the duel here. I mean, only losing 1 round of Swiss is huge. He's able to overlay the 2 water monsters for a Bahamut Shark, so he can detach a material to summon a totally awesome from the extra deck.
That's nice. And since he didn't have to use his Keldo's effect in the graveyard, he'll still be able to use it during the opponent's turn with Pearlarino on the field to destroy an opponent's card.
Definitely. That's something that's huge. Yeah. And we know he has the Rhino Heart underneath. He has another Rhino Heart in graveyard as well that he discards the Imseti, so definitely ready to go for that effect as you mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many cards William has in his hand, but it can't be that many because he lost a lot to the Nibiru.
Yeah, and he's going to discard Mudora to summon Sharon, and he's going to hit Tear Cash, Rhino Heart, and Super Polymerization. Let's see what chains he has, if any. Tear Cash Tira is going to send Nibiru and a Guido. We're going to send 5 more. Merrily, Imseti, Soliak, and another Tear Cash. So he's going to be able to use Merrily if he wants, and a Soliak to add.
It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I was separated because of the triggers, but I need to remember the last 5 that were.
We understand. It's just at the end.
Okay.
It's definitely okay if they look through their graveyard. You can't leave it spread out all the time, but it's fine to look through your graveyard when you're using your effects like this. Judges may be a little bit overcautious, they're overzealous there on that. Like, it's okay to look through your graveyard when you're declaring your chain links, though.
It's important to keep track of what you can and can't use and when cards were sent to the graveyard. Okay, so he is using both of the card effects that he has access to through those final 5 cards he sent to the graveyard.
Yep, so it looks like Merrily Chainlink 1, Soliak Chainlink 2. Going to add a tier limit monster since the Soliak was sent to the graveyard. It looks like he's eyeing Havnus. Might go after a tier limit Kashtira as well, since it has a quick effect to summon during the opponent's turn. And it is going to be Havnus.
Havnus also has a quick effect to summon during the opponent's turn, so
potentially.
With restriction.
And now the Merrili's going to go back with the Havnus and probably a Rhino Heart to go into Kaleido Heart. Yep, looks like that is going to be the case here.
I think he's looking to end it.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
gonna.
well, he had to
he's gonna-
attack.
Yeah,
He
he'll
had
have to wait
attack
till next
this
turn.
So
But
he's not ending it now, but
he's gonna go after either the giant token or the face down. I would go after the face down probably. Yep. Put the spell and trap card back into the deck.
yeah, we're in main phase 2 here. Main phase 1 and the battle phase happened so quickly.
Yeah, maybe a slight misstep from William putting that token into attack mode, maybe leaving it in defense mode, forcing Justin to have to find a different way to get the Nibiru off the field. Might have been key here in this match.
Possibly. If he needed time, that was the way to get it, by keeping Justin with a light monster on the field, only able to summon light monsters.
Now he's going to link away Bahamut Shark and Sharon for SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight's going to banish the token.
How many cards in hand? Two.
All right, taking a moment to consider his options.
So he passed his turn.
Sorry, it's hard to like keep looking at my graveyard and maintain it properly. Okay. I have nothing before the main one. You're good. Cool. Let's see. I'm gonna go fire recovery effects.
He's using fire recovery, so he can shuffle 3 of his fire monsters back into his deck and draw a card. That's the new super rare spell card from Age of Overlord, which has given a boost to Salamangreat Great.
I'll look at your graveyard real quick. It says them, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Looks like Justin's contemplating a response to the effect of fire recovery, but
Nope. Fire recovery, pretty cool. Going to be able to net him a draw right here as well.
he'll allow it to happen. If William draws anything too good, Justin will always have the ability to stop it with Totally Awesome.
It is.
Yeah, fire recovery really cool out of Age of Overlord, giving the deck a little bit of boost. I mean, the big thing is not being limited to your normal summon and being able to play past that. And fire recovery is great for that and adding cards to your hand here. Doesn't look like there's a lot much going on here for William, though, with the Sanctuary and the Jaguar. It's going to be tough because he's facing down SP Little Knight, Totally Awesome. You mentioned he has the Mudora and the Keldo in the graveyard, which can allow him to use the Pelarino. So he could just use it right here. But there is a Banelanx in the graveyard that could potentially protect one of his Salamangreat Great monsters from destruction.
By Pelarino, yeah. So that could become relevant.
Yep, Justin realizes it, wants to check for a Banelanx.
Okay. But I don't think it's going to be enough to allow William to break through this.
It looks like William's going straight to battle phase.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
All right, Jack Jaguar is able to take down the Little Knight. So at least that's one obstacle cleared.
Yep, Jack Jaguar sitting at 1,800, I believe. SP Little Knight only with 1,600.
Main 2 then.
And now he's going to main phase 2.
I'm going to use...
Looks like he might be using Foxy's effects. He's going to be able to special summon this from the graveyard, sending
Not
a card
bad.
from his hand.
That'll destroy the Pelarino because it gets rid of a face-up spell card on the field.
Yep, it looks like he might chain the Shuffler here. Yep, he's going to chain Keldo to shuffle back. You could shuffle back the Foxy itself to stop it from coming out. Maybe put back the Rage as well, or the Weasel.
So yeah, if he hopes to get any value out of the Pelarino, he'll have to send the Foxy back because I believe that it's summoned to the field and destroys the spell all as part of the same effect.
Yep, so he's going to put back Foxy, Spinny, and looks like he's considering Banelanx. No, he's going to put back the Banelanx so it won't be able to protect the Jack Jaguar.
And one of his own cards.
Yep.
One of his own Tearlaments cards so that he can use the Pelarino that's otherwise would be threatened by the Foxy. Looks like William's trying to figure out if he can use Ash Blossom when cards are sent from the graveyard to the deck.
No, only if the other way around. Other way around it works.
Effective planet to pop the Jaguar?
And that's going to probably seal the deal here for this game.
I think so. He just has a Sanctuary, a Roar, and a Ash Blossom in his hand. So.
Yep, and he has the Toad, the Kaleido Heart. I think Yeah, definitely going to go to concede, and Justin Singh not getting obliterated here in game number 1, taking this game, and now he's just one game win from moving on to top 16. This could be part of the story. This is, the plot armor. He may have lost to Exodia 2 weeks ago, but he's back in it to win it. He's taking that in stride. I mean, he's also been a part of so many, infamous matches in the past. I think maybe you even wrote one of his feature matches that a lot of people enjoyed reading back during the Mystic Mine days. He was one of the players that passed back and forth. We all remember that one. So Justin Singh, definitely no stranger to the feature match stage, whether it be written or on video, but he's looking to make his own story here this weekend. He wants to be the one that they talk about, not his opponent and how silly you can get in the game. He wants to be the one that walks away with the victory, and without Exodia to stop him, he might just do it this weekend.
He could be the next Seto Kaiba. He needs that obliterating loss from Exodia to rise up and become the world's best duelist.
Yeah, to learn and grow,
Learn and grow.
The best way to get better is to lose. You lose, and as long as you're learning from losing, you'll eventually, gather that information, and then it can propel you to whole new heights that you never thought you could achieve before. So don't get discouraged when you lose. You want to take it in stride and see what you can do. Ooh, I love this shot of both the players as they're side decking. This is a really cool setup here. And they're really deep into it. I mean, you have to focus. For William, you got to shake off that game number 1. You had a decent opening, but you ran straight first into the card that directly counters your deck. So maybe he'll be able to find a way to play around that here in game number 2.
Yeah, it's tough for Salamangreat to play around Nibiru because they have very few ways to stop it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe including stuff like Crossout Designator would be useful in a deck like Salamangreat when cards like Nibiru are so devastating, or potentially devastating. I mean, he had that Gozen match. I think the key thing wasn't really, the Nibiru definitely helped Justin, but when Williams switched that token to attack mode, that was also the window opening for Justin to jump right back into this game. While he had other ways to get the Gozen match off the field, it might have taken a few more turns, especially if we just set another tier limit monster. Because remember, that shuffler that was going to give him access to the Pelorino destruction effect, that was sent to the graveyard by William. If he never attacks that shuffler, the Medora, or Keldo was the first one, there's no way for Justin to put it into the graveyard to even shuffle back a tier limit monster, so there could have been a few more turns there he could have had a chance, but maybe just a little aggressive, a little eager there. It's hard when you have a giant token and you're trying to lock down your opponent. Maybe you didn't realize that, this Nibiru is just going to crash into it, and then it's a disaster.
Yeah, it's also tough because he was locked into light as well with his Primal Being token on the field. So he couldn't really advance his field since he's using all fire monsters at that point. And he did have the strongest monster, so he wanted to apply pressure, which I totally do understand.
Definitely.
Plus, forcing your opponent to attack into it at least guarantees they're entering main phase 2, as we saw. So at least you're going to have another turn after that, which is not always guaranteed when you're playing against tier elements and they're using some effects in main phase 1. So I totally understand the line he took.
Yeah, it was a tough spot for
sure. He was
sure.
in a tough spot because that Nibiru, the Primal Being, really hit him hard.
Yep, definitely one of the tough things to deal with as a Salamangreat player, but we'll have to see if he changes his strategy here in game 2, if the side deck's going to come into play. Does he put in stuff like Crossout Designator? Only time will tell. Looks like the players have drawn their opening hands. They've side decked, and they're just about ready to jump into game number 2. It's almost time to duel. Justin with a smile. He was smiling when he was losing to Exodia, though, as well. But definitely a lot more pressure on the line now that you're at the single elimination portion of the tournament.
He seems like a lot of fun to play against.
Yep, he is a veteran. I've dueled against him myself. He's a cool guy, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's game number 2, YCS Richmond. All right, Justin's going to be going second again. Let's see if he's able to open up with that Nibiru, the Primal Being. I don't see it out of the first few cards in his hand. Can't tell, but now it is up to William. Does he have a Salamangreat? Oh, he has Circle.
He has the Circle, so he can get a Salamangreat monster. I saw no other monsters other than GD Crow in his hand. So
using that during the draw phase to play around stuff like Droll and Lockbird, since you can only activate that during the main phase, and he's going to go for Salamangreat of Fire out of that legendary duelist Soul Burning Volcano.
Yeah, that's a nice card that can search for another Salamangreat monster when it's summoned.
Yep, it's a starter because you can just grab Gazelle here off of it as well. And if you have Gazelle, you're good to go. So he'll be able to link away the Salamangreat of Fire for Salamangreat Phalanx. Balinks on summon will be able to add the Sanctuary, and since a Salamangreat Great monster is sent to the graveyard, he'll be able to use that Gazelle to special summon it from the hand and send a Salamangreat Great from the deck to the graveyard.
He does use Balinks' effect this time, which indicates to us that he did not draw the field spell that it searches for.
Already off to a better start than that previous game, just from based on that opening hand, right?
There's the Sanctuary, which you will get with the Balinks' effect. This is a nice demonstration of what you can do with one Salamangreat Great Circle.
Yeah, I mean, just because the Salamangreat Great of Fire is so strong, Soul Burning Volcano really put this deck back onto the map. I know Soul Burner is much appreciative of it.
So he'll send Spinny to the graveyard and then use its effect to special summon it. Here's the Mirage Stalio. He will Xyz summon it and then use its effect to special summon another Salamangreat Great monster from his deck.
I think William believing in the hear no evil, see no evil, hear no Nibiru, see no Nibiru. It's not coming down, hopefully.
You really have no choice but to play into it.
Yep, exactly.
You just can't stop at 4 when you're playing Salamangreat Great.
Jack Jaguar kind of plays around a little bit. Jack Jaguar able to special summon back from the graveyard, so not too bad.
It has some resilience at
Yep,
least.
at least.
Better than nothing, right?
All right, so let's see what he's going to do next. He could either go into a Link 2, a Link 3. Yep, it's going to be a Link 2. Probably Salamangreat Great Sunlight Wolf.
Sunlight Wolf seems likely.
You want to save the Sanctuary for the Raging Phoenix, if you can.
There's the Sunlight Wolf.
But he might have to use it here. I don't think I see a way for him to get to the Raging Phoenix. Oh, no, the Jack Jaguar. That can do it. He can just link away all of his monsters for Raging Phoenix. Yep. So he's going to put back the Balinks to special summon the Jack Jaguar from the graveyard.
Trigger the wolf.
So since he summoned a monster to the zone that Sunlight Wolf points to, he can add back a fire monster.
He got the Gazelle back, and now he's going to Link Summon Balinks.
Yep.
And send all of his monsters to the graveyard for one more Link Summon.
And that's going to be Raging Phoenix. This is a brand new card out of Soul Burning Volcano as well. He's going to be able to use the Sanctuary to reincarnate summon, send it to the graveyard to summon itself, and then since it used itself as a material, he'll be able to add any Salamangreat Great spell or trap from the deck to the
I
hand.
think we're going to see Salamangreat Great Roar, unless he already has it, which can negate anything.
And there
Really
it is.
powerful counter trap.
Add Salamangreat Great Roar to the hand. I love Phoenix. It also has this cool effect. If a monster is destroyed, you can special summon it back from the graveyard and gain the attack of your monster that was destroyed. Just like a phoenix, it rises from the ashes.
That is really cool.
Now he's going to set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. Not something you want to see if you're Justin. Draws to 6.
Not unless you have evenly matched. But even then, you'll need a second copy because he has Roar.
This is what William was looking to do in that game 1 before the Nibiru, the Primal Being, ruined his plans. Justin leading off with Primeval Planet, Pella Rhino. Going to add a tier limit monster from the deck to the hand.
All right, not a bad way to start.
Definitely not.
You will need to clear through some of those back row cards.
Yeah, I mean, we know one of them is Rivalry of Warlords. A great public event, also a strong Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Do you mind if I recharge? It's like if it's destroyed by or sent to the graveyard by card effect, right?
So he's checking to make sure that the tier limit monsters have to be sent by card effect. So if they're sent by something like Rivalry, since the player has to send it to the graveyard, it will not trigger their effects. And I think that's what he's looking for right here.
So he uses Sheeran's effect here.
Yeah, that's fine.
And sends Destiny Hero Malicious to the graveyard.
So Sharon's going to send the top 3. Rhino Heart, Scream, Foolish. So he sent 2 things that he can activate. He'd go Rhino Chainlink 1, Scream Chainlink 2 if he has a tier monster in his hand. And then he can add Soliac with the Scream, summon back the Rhino Heart, discard the Soliac.
I think we're probably going to see Rivalry flipped.
In an ideal world, that is something he could do. But yeah, the 4 face down spell and trap cards on Williams' side of the field probably will prevent that from happening.
I'll go Chainlink 3, Ghost Match.
Oh, it's Gozen Match. Much better than Rivalry here, locking him into Darks for now, but he has Tier Cash he's going to chain. Oh, so you might want to change to Water. So he can summon the Tier Cash, choose Water, and still resolve the Rhino Heart effect. That would be pretty cool.
Oh, that looks like the way he's going by getting a water monster on the field before the Gozen match resolves.
Yep.
That's an interesting play.
Yep, going to banish the Truant Scream.
And he did already activate the effect of the Scream, so it will still resolve.
I don't have another terror card to hit out of my hand.
Right, okay.
Summon. Then Scream will resolve to search.
It's as you foretold.
Well, yeah. Wait, did he do... Maybe he did the Chainlinks different order than I thought he did. Because I thought he did Scream Chainlink too. Okay. So he could send it with the Rhino.
I'm not sure the order of the chain links, but he did.
He didn't send. He still hasn't sent anything from his hand for. Oh, because he
Well,
summoned the
that
tier
will happen
cache.
in a new chain.
No. When it summons back, it's part of the same effect. To send a tier monster when it summons back, and then it sends on a new chain from your deck to the graveyard.
Right.
But I think what had happened was, his only target in his hand was tier cache, and since Rhino Heart was Chainlink 2 and the Soul Lake was Chainlink 1, it's a legal activation to summon. He doesn't have anything to send to resolve the effect of Rhino Heart. Still comes to the field, and then he gets to add 4 of the Scream afterwards. I just had the Chainlinks confused, because that's usually how you do it. You usually have Scream second, but he had Scream first in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is that the Kashtira tier limits was able to get summoned to the field before Gozen resolved, allowing him to keep water monsters on the field, send Sheer into the graveyard when Gozen resolved, and bring back the Rhino Heart.
Yep. Indeed, and it looks like those are cards you want to see in your hand, not in the graveyard. All 3 of those would have been fantastic for him to draw.
That Nibiru in particular in his opening, or that Evenly Max.
Or the
not
Duster,
bad.
yep.
Or the Duster. Duster would have been great too.
So he's going
They're all
to
good.
send Havnus with the Tier Limits Rhino Heart, and now DD Crow's going to come down to banish that Havnus from the graveyard.
I assuming chain to its effect, right?
I would have to assume so. So Justin's still not able to take down this Raging Phoenix.
Can't summon another Malicious from his deck because he's not allowed to have a dark monster on the field. Oh,
but now
looks like Justin does have Triple Tactics talent.
William did use the monster effect of that DD Crow, so this turns that talents online. I imagine he's going to draw 2.
I think that's the only way to go here, right? It's
Yeah, I'll roar.
oh.
So he's going to negate that with Roar or Rage.
Activate Thrust.
And now he's going to activate Triple Tactics Thrust.
Oh, but he sent Harpy's Feather Duster to the graveyard.
Oh, that is devastating. But he might be able to grab something else.
unfortunate.
Since William has a monster on the field to be able to add it directly to the hand this turn.
He looks back at his Duster.
Shakes his head a little bit.
Come back.
That was so unfortunate.
Oh, that's rough.
You can see the look on his face. He's a little upset.
Roar goes and follow up. Yeah, you got this one. I'll just
No!
Oh, he concedes.
Oh, man, he was so close to coming back in this game. But, yeah, those are his targets for Foolish Barrel and Harvey's Feather Duster. The talent was probably the other target as well. So he's just going to concede game 2. And now William evening out the series with his Salamangreat strategy. Salamangreat 1 game win away from making it to top 16. It would be Salamangreat if it did it, but we'll have to see how he's going to do going second. He's gone first both of these games so far. Game 3, it's going to be time for Justin to be able to go first and show what his deck can really do.
Yeah, that was a really exciting duel, and it kind of came down to those 3 cards he sent from the top of his deck to his graveyard.
It really did. That thrust almost thrust him back into this game.
I think the Even Lead maybe could have done it too if he had just crashed all his monsters in an Even Lead, but the Even Lead was gone too.
Yeah, I think he had the field spell on the field. He would have found a way to get that off the field as well.
He would have had to find a way to do that.
But either way, to send those 3 specific cards to the graveyard instead of drawing them in your opening hand, devastating. And then to have the thrust on top of it, and he might not even realize how devastating the cards he sent from the deck to the graveyard were in that exact moment, but oh man, that's rough, especially with the thrust in your hand. I mean, that's tier limits though. You live and die by the cards you send from your deck to the graveyard. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm here for William. I'm cheering for. I mean, Justin's a great player, a great sport. You know, we saw him, against Jeffrey Leonard last YCS Indy. Really awesome, both nice players they seem like, and either one deserves the win here.
I'm just here for a great duel, and so far they're tied up 1-1, so it looks like we're getting it.
Yep, 16 minutes left in the round, and some change. The duelists are side decking, swapping out for going first or second. Now, William's strategy seems like it's pretty dependent on going first, so I imagine a lot of his side deck cards that he might be putting in will be those going second kind of cards. And we're going to have to see how they come out to play. I imagine Tier Limits was probably a deck on his radar when he was preparing his side deck for this tournament. We already saw stuff like DD Crow that could be really key for him to open up in his hand in game number 3. He's going to need something to slow the tier strategy down, or just hope Justin doesn't draw the best of hands. But it's always nervous going into game 3 of any tournament, but especially when you're already in the top cut, it can be very nerve-wracking. But both these duelists seem pretty calm, focused, knowing you're just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day, this is just another duel, and as long as you practice for the tournament scene, you know you're playing. Don't be nervous. if, as much as you can. It's impossible, though. I mean, I've played in over 100 YCSs, and still round one of every tournament, I'm just so extremely nervous because it's like I've been preparing so much for this. I really hope it goes my way, and that's all you can really do. Think about the things, focus on the things that you can control as opposed to the things that you can't.
I always found myself most nervous in round one.
Me too.
Because, you know, once you start playing a couple duels, make it to the top 32, make it to the top 16, you've gotten to the swing of it.
Yep, yeah. I mean,
now you're just dueling, you know, you're in that mindset. But when you first sit down after, you know, a day of travel or, you know, hanging out with friends who you came to the event with, you're sitting down, you're like, this is it, it's starting, and I don't want to start with an 0-1 record.
Yeah, I mean, that's for me. I always play some warm-up games before every tournament. I like to play a few matches. I don't want my first game of the day to be my tournament match. It's just like if you're playing like basketball, you're going to want to shoot around and warm up before you jump straight into the game. I highly suggest doing that for tournaments as well. You don't want to come in cold. You want to get ready and practice, but these players have already played a couple rounds today, and now they are in top 32. Game number 3, Justin versus William. Salamangreat versus Horus Tearlaments. Will we see some Horus cards here? I really hope so. Age of Overlord impacting both of these decks. It's time to duel. Game 3, YCS Richmond. One of these players is only going to be a few rounds wins away from moving on to become a YCS champion.
Just 5 match wins, including this one.
All right. Looks like Justin did draw some playable cards. I at least saw Tearlaments merrily.
Looks like he has Nibiru in his hand. Not quite as good going first.
Still pretty solid. I can't complain.
Still powerful. He starts with Tearlament's Kashtira, so he'll have to banish a Tearlament card from his hand to summon it since he has no graveyard.
Gonna banish the Merlease in the top 3 cards. Sends a Rhino Heart and a Havness.
2 Tearlaments and also a Mudora to shuffle 3 cards back into the deck from the graveyards.
No effects. And he's going to follow that up with Diviner of the Herald. This is going to let him send a Fairy to the graveyard. It's going to gain those levels, and he's going to send a Guido, the Ancient Sentinel. And that's going to allow both players to send the top 5 cards of their deck to the graveyard.
Tearcash, Sulliak, Malicious.
Crime.
3 relevant effects.
Yep.
Oh, that's a crime. You're right.
And yeah, I mean, the Malicious is huge.
I saw a trap card. I thought it was a Sulliak.
1, 2.
Yep, so the crime is going to be able to add back the Merrily he banished. It's a huge. And Tearcash is going to send a couple more cards. And he sent Sulliak as well.
So, wow, he has a lot of good effects to resolve.
This is a good turn for Justin. And it doesn't look like there's anything William is able to do about it here. He's just sitting back watching Justin work. Yeah, it looks like, oh man, his hand all engine, all Salamangreat cards for the most part. So it looks like he's going to add Tearlament Sharon from his deck to the hand, thinks the effect of Sulliak.
Freeze play. The Merly is from the crime.
Top 32 competitors, freeze play. That is time of the round. If you're still in a match, play until the end of the group phase. If you need assistance, please call for a judge. If you have time,
William looks like he has a solid hand of Salamangreat cards, but it doesn't look like he has anything to interact with Justin on this particular turn.
Yep, Sharon's going to activate next.
Cut off Sharon, right? Yeah, he did.
So he's going to send the Merrily probably. I don't know what else he has in his hand.
I don't care either way. Because I went in, yeah. With the Sulliak.
Just make sure you cut the deck just in case.
Make sure.
He's going to send Merrily to special summon the Sharon. Send the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard. Shyama and another Rhino.
He's sending some great cards from the top of his deck to his graveyard this game. His deck making it up to him for sending Harpy's Feather Duster last duel.
Yeah, no, he's definitely off to the best start this game than he had at either of the 2 previous ones. And now he's going to shuffle back Tearlament's Merrily and the Malicious. So he's going to be going for Destiny Hero Dangerous, it looks like.
Merrily. That I sent off Sharon.
This is a cool play because he could then use Dangerous to send Malicious to the graveyard once again, and then he'll once again have access to Malicious's effect.
Yep, here comes the Dangerous. Yeah, Dangerous. You can use Malicious to make Dangerous, and then use Dangerous to put the Malicious back. Oh, but he had the other one in his hand, so kind of using like a Plague Spreader-like effect to put the other Malicious into the deck so he gets to send down Denier. Denier really strong. If you have a Destiny Hero on the field or graveyard, you can just special summon it back to the field and return one of your banished Destiny Heroes back into the deck.
Definitely a cool play.
Now
Now he's going to, looks like he's going to tune them together, I would expect.
Here comes a Synchro Summon.
That's a level 6 tuner, thanks to the Diviner of the Herald's effect.
Indeed. It's going to be everyone's favorite level 10 Synchro, Baron de Fleur.
Baron de Fleur. Definitely my favorite level 10 Synchro.
It's a good one. Now he's going to banish the Malicious from his graveyard to special summon another copy. The Dangerous is a level 6. Malicious is also level 6.
Like we might be seeing Beatrice coming out.
Everyone's favorite Burning Abyss monster.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
He's going to bring back that Denier so he can put the Malicious back in his deck. So it's like he's playing 3 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious despite the semi-limitation.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, Deniers, Revive, put back the Mali. You're right. Okay, sorry. I understand we're in a bit of a Yeah, I got it.
All right, now what's up next? Will that Beatrice be coming down? Will he link away his monsters first? He's eyeing the Beatrice in his extra deck. Beatrice, really cool. Not only can you use it on your turn, you can use it on your opponents as well. You can use it to send down Kelbeck if he so chooses, a tier limit name. He could send down Medora or Keldo if he wants the defense. Really a lot of options here for Beatrice.
There she is.
Lady of the Eternal. Right, it's been a long time since I said her full name. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Lady of the Eternal. Yep, still got it.
I always think of Pegasus saying it in that live duel where he's Burning Abyss.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. And now here comes the Beatrice effect to detach Dangerous. To send, looks like he's eyeing the Kelbeck. Yep, Kelbeck. We're going to send another 5 cards from both players' deck to the graveyard.
See, this is why people play tier limits.
It's fun.
They like doing this. They
when
like
this
when
happens,
this
it's
happens.
great. But now when your opponent activates Dimension Shifter, not as fun.
Not as fun.
All right, William checking the graveyard. He might have a response to the Kelbeck.
No response to Kelbeck. So Shiren's in there, and then I'm thinking after if you don't have a response to Kelbeck. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Baron de Fleur's on the field, so there's
tough.
nothing he could really do that would be too damaging of an interruption during Justin's turn.
Okay.
But from my earlier glimpse at William's hand, he doesn't really have anything anyway.
No, since the Weasel, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relevant card that could help him later, but Justin gets Scream, which is much better.
Yeah, he's going to be able to add maybe a second copy of Soliak, the Crime, already in the graveyard. But, yep, it is going to be Tierleman Soliak.
He's got some Horus monsters into the graveyard, too, in case he draws the King's Sarcophagus.
Yeah, William's going to be in a tough spot. Justin off to the races here this turn, operating at maximum capacity. He's really showing if you're not using Exodia, you're not going to beat me.
Everything's going Justin's way right now.
Justin Setokaiba seeing ready to win this match if he can. He's going to link away the Denier and Tierleman's Kashtira for SP Little Knight. 3 really good monsters on the field with Beatrice, Baron, and SP Little Knight.
All of them can interact with the opponent on the opponent's turn. This is
Yeah.
going to be incredibly hard to play through.
Yeah, especially, he has the Rhino Heart in the graveyard already. As long as he has a Tierlement name that can fuse in the deck, he'll be able to send it to the graveyard and summon a Kaleido Heart during the opponent's turn. Baron has a negate. SP has an interruption.
And we know he has Celiac face down as well.
And a
which
Nibiru in the
is a
hand.
monster event. Well, if he has to use the Nibiru in his hand, this could be anyone's game. But I don't think it's going to come to that. So William will use Salamangreat Circle, so now he has his choice of Salamangreat monster to add to his hand.
Looks like he's going to go after Foxy.
It's a tough one.
Could be Falco. That ain't Falco. That is Falco. It's Salamangreat Falco.
All right, he'll take the Falco.
Next up, it looks like he's looking at Fire Recovery. Since he did have to send 10 cards from his deck to the graveyard, that did fill his graveyard up with monsters to special summon back and shuffle back for that draw from Fire Recovery. But he's going to start off with the Flame Buffalo.
Not bad. He's getting a little bit of help from the cards that Justin sent to his graveyard.
summon. I like to have Beatrice.
So he's going to use Beatrice right away here, detached to send. Probably going to send the Merrily. Yep, here goes Tearless Merrily. He's going to make the Kaleido Heart to try and spin back that Flame Buffalo. Back into the deck. That's where you want to be. You don't want him to link off the Flame Buffalo because it will get a draw as well. So he's going to stop that from happening and go for Kaleido Heart, shuffle it back into the deck.
Yep, and that was William's normal summon. Well, did he normal summon that, or he special summoned it with
He normal
Fire
summoned
Recovery?
it. Nope, that was a normal summon. He still has the Fire Recovery in hand, I believe, so he's not quite done just yet. Still has to deal with the Solia. The big thing is the Solia with the Kaleido Heart's also just a whole nother interruption. He's going to get to negate a monster effect, bring back the Kaleido Heart, and send another Aqua to his graveyard as well, and then still has the SP Little Knight and Baron as a layer
He's in a
of
tough
protection.
spot. The Fire Recovery is the only reason he's even still playing right now.
Yes, definitely. So he can bring back Salamangreat of Fire.
So what does it do? It specials it?
Yeah.
It specials it, and then it has the effect of the graveyard to banish, to shuffle back 3 fires and draw a card.
Or 4 in hand, yeah.
I'll chain Medora.
No, but he does have the Mudora, so he's not
Oh.
even going to let him special summon back the monster. We forgot about even another layer of defense in the graveyard. Justin just off to a great start here in game number 3. Put on the pressure and hasn't let up just yet. He's putting that Hovness back, so in case he has to use the Soliac with Kaleido Heart, he'll have another fusion that he can make afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Resolve as much as possible.
Yeah. I didn't
William's running out of
'cause
options.
it's cost too. It's just like on resolution.
So I will send.
Looks like he still has to send a card from his hand to the graveyard for the Fire Recovery, even though there's nothing left to special summon.
Jaguar. And then I'll trigger the Gazelle on resolution.
So you have 2 in hand? You have 2 in hand?
2 in hand.
Okay.
Well, 3 technically, because Gazelle is still there.
I'll negate.
Yep, gonna negate the Gazelle with
Gazelle
Baron.
Okay.
So that's gonna be destroyed and go to the graveyard.
Well, he can still use Fire Recovery to draw a card and hope it's a really, really good one. I'll use Fire Recovery.
And that is what he's gonna do. Gonna banish Fire Recovery, shuffle back 1, 2, 3 fire monsters.
Yes. Both effects of Fire Recovery can be used in the same turn, which is a nice feature of the card.
The first effect's not even once per turn.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
I'll target the 3 Gazelles.
Yeah. No responses, you're good. Cool. Let's see, because we have 4 minutes left.
Does he play evenly matched?
Yeah, Justin asking him to play a little bit quicker. You do not want to lose in time here when you have such strong control of the game. The Baron is gone, so if he can draw into something like evenly matched, he might have a chance, but it doesn't look like that. That's another copy of Fire Recovery. That's not going to help him here.
He can activate it.
No, then maybe
It's not only the shuffle 3 back in is a once
Oh,
per turn
okay.
effect.
Only the second part's once per turn. Okay, it's not the whole card itself. That's pretty cool.
Fire Recovery?
She's going to do it again.
Or targeting.
He's running low on cards though, so I don't know how much he can do with it.
Sorry.
Justin still has his Little Knight.
And the Soliac set.
Target the.
Yeah. I mean,
he's playing pretty well through a tough board.
William was playing the best he can through a very tough board.
I'll pitch.
Okay.
And he obviously knows his deck very well.
Going to send the Falco from the hand to the graveyard to summon the Weasel.
Any triggers?
No triggers.
Okay.
All right, Justin saying, okay, proceed.
Spinny effect, target the Weasel.
So he's going to discard Spinny from the hand to increase the attack of Weasel by 500. And now he's going to use SP Little Knight to banish the Baron so he can reset the negate, banish the Weasel off of the field. I don't think he has anything to shuffle back with Jaguar. Yep, that's it.
Nope, that's it. Nothing else to shuffle back.
And Justin not getting obliterated in top 32, moving on to top 16 with his Horus Tierman strategy. It might be his chance to win here this weekend. You know, if you lose to Exodia 2 weeks, that has to just give you some sort of energy to really come back and keep playing. And when you compare him to Seto Kaiba, maybe that was the push he needed, and now maybe he'll be able to win the YCS here in Richmond this weekend.
He's just 4 matches away.
Really is, and he played it really well. His opponent also played really solid, trying to play through that tough turn 1 board that Justin put up. but we're only going to have to wait and see if Justin will make it all the way to the finals. It was an exciting match, and I'm really just happy to see Salamangreat making it back to the top 32, especially with all the new cards they got in Soul Burning Volcano, and of course Fire Recovery out of Age of Overlord, really making an impact. And top 32, you know, not where you want to lose, but you still have to be happy with that finish in the YCS.
Yeah, a lot of players are just happy to make the top cut. So top 32 is a nice finish. Well, of course, he would have rather have won, but just making it there is definitely an achievement. And making it there with Salamangreat, a relatively underrepresented deck, has to feel pretty good.
Definitely. And if you want to hear from our winner, Justin Singh, stick around. We'll be right back with an interview. Don't go anywhere.
I'm here with Justin, who just used his Tearlaments deck to take a narrow 2-1 victory over Williams Salaman Great deck and advance to the top 16. Congratulations. Did playing under the lights with the audience in the feature match area affect the way you dueled at all?
No, well, I'm kind of used to it. I played on a stream a few times, and it's like you just have to just focus on the game, and it's nice. It's like a nice experience, though. So I've always enjoyed playing on stream, but the only bad thing about it is people know what you're playing. Yeah.
That is true. When you're in the public eye, people get to see your deck a bit. You had a really cool match. It was really back and forth in some of the games, and there were a lot of really interesting plays. What stood out to you in that match?
Game 3 especially. People may be wondering why I went like Terra Crash Banish Merle before I led Diviner. The whole reasoning is like if he had any interruption, he would most likely just hit the Terra Crash since it looks like my hand is bad, and then the Diviner would resolve. So like how I structured the turn after that with like the specific like hits to get back the Merle with the Terra Crash with the Crime was pretty nice. And then I played for a minimalistic board because of the nib, but I haven't really gotten to show off like the cool combos of the deck yet because I haven't like really used the horse cards too much on stream.
All right, well, hopefully we can see them later in the tournament. There are only 4 rounds left, and if you win them all, you'll become YCS champion. Are there any decks that you're looking forward to playing against or hoping to avoid?
To avoid, I saw this one guy who's playing a Kashtira deck with Dimension Fissure in his deck. So I would like to avoid that guy, pretty much. But everything else, I feel like Terra could like hold its own against.
All right, as I mentioned before, you are so close to the top. How do you feel about your chances of going all the way and winning?
I feel pretty good. I had a lot of help from my friends back home, Josh Kippenberg especially. He topped YCS Indianapolis, so he helped me a lot with this deck list, and my friend Jibril Braithwaite, he also did. So I feel like really confident in my like ability to play this deck well, and like the list is really well designed. So I think I have pretty good chances. But last time I felt like this was when I played Drytron in Hartford, and then I got third. So gotta hope for the best, right?
All right, well, thank you for an awesome match that we got to watch, and good luck in the rest of the tournament.
All right, thanks, Mike. I remember that match. That's when Justin passed, his opponent passed, Justin passed, his opponent passed, and then Justin ended up getting third place. It's fantastic to see him here back at it again after suffering to that Exodia loss we keep talking about, but it was such an iconic moment in history. But now let's talk about some upcoming game mats that you're going to have a chance to win, so you're going to want to check this out. 25th Anniversary Rarity Collection Release Celebration game mat, that's going on right now, featuring that beautiful variant artwork of Eldritch, the Golden Lord, one of my favorite artworks for sure, and it looks amazing on this game mat. It's the Age of Overlord regional season going on right now. If you make the top 8 of your regional, you can win this game mat along with an awesome black regional deck box. And last but not least, we have Structure Deck Fire Kings Release Celebration game mat. That's coming at the end of November, beginning of December. It's a beautiful game mat and an even better structure deck. You're not going to want to miss your chance to get the Fire Kings structure deck. Now, we just saw top 32. We're going to have top 16 coming up shortly, so don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss a second of the YCS Richmond. We'll be back shortly.
Into this game now. So let's take a look at our players. So this is round 11, final round of Swiss.
Our first player today is Kalen from Kansas City, Missouri. Favorite card, the Bestial Lubellion.
And the opponent, we have Elijah from Sinking Spring. And favorite card, Boral and Dragon.
Seems like both of these favorite cards might give us some insight into the potential match that we're looking at today.
Or maybe they'll surprise us. Who knows? But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this. I don't think we've seen this particular matchup on stream yet at this event.
We've definitely seen these cards Some of the cards that we'll be looking at today that are going to be really prevalent in the round 11 matchup are the Bystials, which are actually shared by both of these players. The interesting thing about the Bystials is they have some very interesting interactions against one another if both players have monsters on the field.
Yep.
So there's going to be a huge kind of mind game going on between these players today, sequencing their Bystials once it's become apparent to both of them that they're both main decking not just, you know, the couple copies of Jerusalem, they are both playing the full package of primary Bystial monsters.
No, I love to see it, and the pressure is on. Both players, 8 wins, 2 losses, 0 draws. If they do not win this one, they're probably not going to make it to the top cut.
No, very unlikely. I think the math works out where you definitely need at least an X2 better record.
This is going to be, well, everything's on the line because you come all this way to a YCS, and you're definitely here to play to win once you get to these final rounds.
And what'll be interesting is how each of these players have supported the Bystial package. Caitlin has elected to incorporate the brand new Horus cards from Age of Overlord, and Elijah has elected to instead play something more traditional in terms of a Dragon Link deck. But in addition to the basic cards that you would typically see in a Dragon Link deck, we have copies of cards like Fallen of Albaz, and also incorporating sort of the traditional Bystial package to support it.
This is going to be interesting to see whether or not this Fallen of Albaz is going to come into play. This is going to allow you to even perform stuff that's typically uncommon within a Dragon Link deck, where you can perform fusions. But ultimately, Fallen of Albaz more or less feels like a copy of Super Poly.
Yeah, and in a matchup like this, obviously having that access point can be a great interruption against Caitlin. And one of the interesting things about Caitlin's deck, the more you look at it, and hopefully we'll get to see this, is there's the incorporation of cards from the structure deck Crimson King. For you Jack Atlas fans, we'll be potentially seeing some Resonator, Red Dragon Archfiend plays.
I hope
makes
so.
this matchup unique relative to what we saw day one in the previous round of Swiss today.
You know, those cards get to shine. We're gonna see a whole new way of playing Bystials.
The interesting thing about the Dragon packages recently is it feels like regardless of the Forbidden and Limited list, Dragon cards themselves have been playable. But it's a matter of, do you incorporate the Bystial, do you incorporate cards like Nocta Vision, do you continue using the Rocket package, do you take the Rocket packet out? Today, you're going to incorporate the Horus cards, a brand new set of cards that in and of themselves slot in really well with these strategies. Evolution has been a word I think I've used many times this weekend because we've seen the evolution of the Tier Element strategy, the evolution of the Rescue A strategy, and now we see Dragon Link, a deck that's been around for a few years now, continually evolve and adapt as there have been new releases.
I think with like a Rise Heart gone, a lot of decks that can finally just rely on the graveyard, without getting most of your cards getting banished half the time. Most of the games you don't have to worry about that being on the field. It's definitely opened up the game a lot more.
Yeah, in addition to that, Kashtira cycling out, at least in terms of its prevalence prior to the recent Forbidden Limited list, it's also cycling out a deck that utilized Dimension Shifter in the main deck. And now when you look at the field, there are a few decks. Flow Under Ease is still out there. Decks certainly side Dimension Shifter, but now not only do you have to, you don't have to circumvent the Dimension Shifters in the main deck, there's also the fact that Rise Heart is banned. The combination of both makes these graveyard-based decks really flourish.
Yep. I think these players are just about to get ready, and we are getting into game number 1. And they begin now.
Sounds like Elijah may have won the roll.
Yep, main phase.
Oh, look at that. He opens a single copy of Chaos Space.
That's one of the best openings, especially when you get that access to White or Black Dragon. But we're going to start off with Black Metal Dragon. We're going to link someone into Striker Dragon effect.
Black Metal, Chainlink 2.
Black Metal is going to be Chainlink 2.
One of the most ideal opening plays. It allows Elijah to make 2 key searches, both within the same chain link. If an opponent were to happen to have a card like Joan Lockbird, you would still have already received 2 of the searches all within one play, which is a huge advantage of this particular deck.
Chaos Space, discard Red MD.
And Chaos Space discarding the red MD.
So even though Chaos Space, again, limited to 1, all you really typically wanted to see was the single copy anyway, because you don't generally have a ton of access points and a ton of targets in your deck.
Yep.
So here, being able to search out a card from his deck, looks like he's going for the White Dragon.
White Dragon, Fiber Burster. I mean, even with Chaos Space at 1, there's another card that more or less functions very similarly, which is going to be Branded Regain for the deck. And we mentioned that both players play Bystial cards, and that's an easy card that you can get access to.
And it allows you to sort of reuse your resources as the game progresses.
That's right. And we banished the Red Eyes Darkness Metal
White Dragon Chilling 2.
to summon another White Dragon Wave Burster, and now we take the 2 monsters to go into Dragoonity Knight Romulus.
You know, this is the cookie cutter, very just simplistic dragon combo thus far. We've yet to see any of the new incorporations into Elijah's deck. He's going to be able to search the copy of Dragon Ravine, and of course, the Black Dragon. What's interesting is, you know, as this combo gets going, what directions is he going to choose to go into? Because, you know, as this deck has evolved over time, what the intended end board is, what the intended sequences is, have evolved. And here we actually see a copy of DD Crow.
A DD Crow targeting the Chaos Space, preventing an additional draw coming from the Chaos Space, because you are able to put back that White Dragon Wyvern Burster. That's actually 2 cards that you prevented to get put back into Elijah's hand, because the Black Dragon would add the White Dragon back.
Yeah, and although you cannot summon that White Dragon again this turn, because you've already special summoned it with its effect, on the second turn, having access to a free level 4 extender dragon is useful. So the DD Crow here is stopping 2 cards. And this is an interesting thing to point out. This is a deck that's incorporating not only the Bystials, but now also DD Crow. So Kaelin's come up to this tournament really targeting the graveyard, wanting to have many copies of the Bystials, but then also multiple copies of DD Crow.
Boot effect.
Boot Sector launch has been activated, and the effect has also been called now. We're going to be special summoning out a Rocket Tracer.
Effect targeting Striker Dragon.
That's fine.
And we have Sereneer targeting the Striker Dragon, banishing it. We're going to synchro into a 10. That's going to be Bystial Dissipator.
This is a card that will probably come up several times in this matchup. Both of these players are electing to incorporate Dissipator and the Bystials in their deck, Dissipator being one of the best Bystial cards in that particular engine.
Lubellion, the Bystial Lubellion has been sent to the graveyard, and we'll get the Dissipator effect to special summon back the Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and that's going to lead to another summon coming back, either from the hand or grave.
The Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon was discarded earlier in the turn for Chaos Space. No fear, though, that was an intentional point, so that it could be banished and eventually brought back with Dissipator.
You know, that's some good foresight. You know, linking your combos way ahead.
I think here's where you make the Pisty, and then you go into the Triple Burst, and you bring him back. And yeah.
Well, Kaelin is actually suggesting the lines of play, the typical lines of play.
He's very familiar. Both of them, well, I guess they are both playing dragons after all.
Regain.
Yeah, Dragon Duelists, as we've commented on before, the format and the actual cards that are legal and the card that have released make this combo evolve, but there are certain play patterns that once you've established, generally speaking, can lead into the same direction. Here, going into Triple Burst to open up that link zone that links both the Pisty and the Triple Burst, and this is typically something that ends in Boral End Dragon.
So the spell card that's currently on the field is Branded Regain. That was placed onto the field thanks to the Bystial Lubellion as one of its ignition effects. Now, if anything gets banished at this point, they can be put back into the deck, and you'll be able to draw 1 card.
I don't think. Because I sent him out Sarnier.
And Dragon's Ravine has been activated, and that's basically been loading the graveyard. Now, Starliege Seyfert is one of the most important cards in the deck when it comes to just cycling your cards, constantly getting more and more draws, because you'll always be able to more or less put it back and draw another card and add one of your high-level dragons back into your hand.
Yeah, and both the Bystial Lubellion and then potentially Chaos Legionnaire are just fantastic targets for Starliege. And you know, as this deck goes into the second or third turn, having that reliable form of a resource in the graveyard that you can use to search out whatever you need in that particular moment from the graveyard has generally been one of the biggest strengths of the Dragon Link deck, where their opening field is intimidating, but that follow-up from the graveyard, especially when you combine it with cards like Branded Regain that are replenishing the hand, it's a very difficult deck to combat.
The Bystial Magnemite also has been summoned onto the field. This is a lot of resources. And we're going to... Ooh, that is the Xyz monster. That's right, Atum.
Hieratic Dragon, King of Atum. Something worth pointing out is the special summon of the Magnemite. Against some matchups, being able to search your deck during the end phase for potentially another Bystial has marginal degrees of usefulness. If you're playing against Tier Element, it's fantastic. You're playing against the Fire Ray strategy, not nearly as much. In this matchup where both players are playing the Bystial package, being able to search a Bystial during the end phase is going to add another layer of interruption when Kaelin's turn begins.
Borland, target Pisty, target Tracer.
So Boral and effect, target Pisty, and get back the Tracer. That's going to allow
Tracer, target Pisty to pop.
the Tracer to destroy the Pisty, and that's going to summon out another monster from the deck, a non-tuner perhaps, and that's likely going to go into a Burl Savage Dragon.
Yep, so we got the Rocket Recharger, and now we have Boral Savage Dragon, which means Elijah is going to end the turn with the interruption with the negate on Boral Savage Dragon, the negate through the Boral End Dragon, and of course the Hieratic Seal, which will allow him to return a card on the field to the owner's hand and then special summon another dragon from the deck.
That's what I really like about the Hieratic Seal. Hieratic Seal is just one of the best disruptions, I would say. It plays well into, like, say, cards like Nibiru, because that's a tribute that's going to activate its effect. It plays well into even evenly matched, because you can just leave that onto the field, and then you'll still be able to get a ton of follow-up.
And we see here Chaos Dragon Legionnaire hitting the field, ripping another card out of Kalen's hand, and with the DD Crow that's been activated, Kalen is only going to have 4 cards to start the next turn.
I'll add off Magnavoot.
And Magnavoot.
And he did, in fact, search Druid's Worm, which is the most logical, even if you don't know what the matchup is. Searching a Bystial makes the most sense in this particular strategy. It just so happens to be another layer of interruption in this particular matchup.
Can Kalen make a comeback from this particular position? It's a difficult one, that's for sure. The board is pretty oppressive.
I think that's the calculation right now, is to determine, is there any realistic way that I can play through this field? The answer to that is no. You did reveal the fact that you're playing DD Crow, but that in and of itself is not necessarily the biggest indicator as to what your strategy might be. You know, DD Crow might be an indicator that you're playing a strategy with a lot of hand interruptions, perhaps a sprite strategy even. So revealing a single copy of DD Crow doesn't necessarily give away that you're playing Bystials. As a matter of fact, I would actually make the assumption that if you're main decking Bystials, you wouldn't be playing, in addition to the Bystials, DD Crow. So it's no damage done by revealing just that single copy of DD Crow. And if you look at your opponent's field like that and determine there's really no realistic way I can get through this, you don't want to necessarily reveal the cards in your deck, because you can keep that as, you know, private information heading into game 2, so it might affect Elijah's side decking patterns.
Well, going in blind, definitely not the best. You might keep some cards that are not so advantageous, but maybe we're going to finally see what Kalen has to offer, especially likely probably going to choose to go first, as the current situation where he did not go first didn't work out in his favor.
Yeah, I think what Kalen will do is definitely go first, and hopefully we get to see some of these new cards. The Horus cards that we saw yesterday in the Tier Element strategy was really exciting, and I'm hoping to find out what Kalen's planning to do with them here. I mean, obviously they're inherently powerful level 8 monsters. The Zombie Vampire is a fantastic card in the extra deck, but I'm curious to see where it fits into the actual Bystial package. You know, we're using these to tune into and to synchro into level 10 synchro monsters. Exactly how are we utilizing the Horus cards? So I'm really hoping to see Kalen not only open the Horus monsters, but see exactly what the plan is to showcase their wonderful effects.
I wonder what the actual end board would lead into. I mean, there's a lot of level 8 monsters available. There are some level 2 tuners. I think maybe we're going to see a ton of level 10 synchros. It seems like level 10 synchro decks are just very popular right now. Like, some of the best synchros, like, you know, every generation has a different level of synchro that's usually the most dominant synchro level. It does seem like level 10 has finally reached that point.
Yeah, between Baronne de Fleur, Chaos Angel, and Dissipator, there are 3 pretty powerful level 10s, if not more, in Kalen's deck list that I think all set up differing forms of interaction and interruption on the opponent's turn, and trying to get as many of those on the field as possible could be what the game plan is.
And they are just about to be done siding.
I feel like for the beginning years, right after the Duelist Genesis, it was level 8.
Yep, that was the Stardust era with Red Dragon, Archfiend, Thought Ruler, and also level 6 with the Goyo Guardian that usually just led into it, because most of our tuners were relatively low level. There were no level 4 tuners on the release.
And when we looked at the Duelist Genesis one, what's really interesting is both Stardust Dragon and Red Dragon Archfiend sort of as the classic ones. Well, here we are over 10 years later, Red Dragon Archfiend has found its way into Kalen's deck list. In addition to that, we see the Excel Synchro Stardust in the extra deck as well. So there's 2 versions of sort of those original Synchro monsters that have found their way into this modern day of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, definitely.
There's actually a Stardust Dragon itself, looking at this a little bit further. So Kalen has 2 classics, actual Stardust Dragon and Red Dragon Archfiend, both in the extra deck today.
Or maybe we'll be able to see the XL Synchro Stardust's second effect. That would be really, really cool to see.
And this has been a weekend of history. We had the classic event earlier yesterday when we saw Exodia win in round 4, and now potentially we can see cards from the Duelist Genesis make their way into the round 11 bubble match. So it looks like these players have just finished side decking. They have their 5 cards. They're just getting the okay
Commentators like talk
from
about
the
the
judge.
game? Are they doing the thing where the commentators like talk about the game right now?
Yes, to a certain extent.
Anyway,
We are, in fact, doing that. But they're waiting for the okay from the judges, and then we'll be into this second game. So one thing about that game is it went so quickly that time shouldn't be an issue in this particular match, which would be ideal. Kalen's certainly hoping to get a much more ideal collection of cards.
I think it's kind of neat. I don't think like the previous format we've seen games go into time as often as we have in this particular format. I think there's just a lot more control-based matchup. There's maybe more card reading you have to do. Maybe that's just part of, you know, having, you know, Age of Overlord just being released so as, you know, the same week as the YCS.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to acclimate to new cards, particularly in a format-defining set like Age of Overlord, where we have the Horus cards and we have the Simple Spoils cards and the new TG cards. Although we weren't able to feature them, those cards in and of themselves have completely revamped an older strategy as well.
It's just hard to side deck when everybody's on.
As you mentioned, they made a quick comment about they don't know how to side deck because they don't know exactly what card they're playing because all they saw was a DD Crow. Very generic card. And like you said, if you don't know if you can actually win the game, sometimes keeping all your information private could lead to poor siding patterns. Maybe they just don't choose the side. Maybe they want to see more. It's very important. Like every part and every aspect of the game matters, and you have to capitalize on each aspect to, you know, up your chances of winning any of these matches.
Yeah, one of the biggest things when approaching an event of this length is to cut down the margin of error. Every time there's those small incremental mistakes, it deducts a little bit of a percentage chance of you being able to find your way into the top cut. You know, revealing a card in your deck that shows your primary strategy could have changed how Elijah sided. He here just admitted that he wasn't able to do that. But here we are heading into game 2. For Kalen's sake, I hope the strategy is revealed, because that would mean that Kalen opened a collection of cards that were able to demonstrate the fact that the Bystials, Horus, and other dragon monsters are incorporated in this deck.
Or will Elijah get lucky and sided the correct cards and just happen to open them in hand? We don't know, but judges are now currently speaking with the players.
Sounds good.
They have been given the timer.
Right, thank you.
And here we go.
I would like to go first, Gaduler.
Good luck.
So we see Ash Blossom, Chaos Dragon Levianeer, a couple spell cards.
Yep. Into the main phase.
Normal summon.
Normal summon out Safer.
Oh, Safer. Look at Elijah's facial expressions.
Effective Safer.
Effective Safer. Using the cost from hand, a level 8. We're going to activate Infinite Impermanence. That's heavy.
Sure.
So, you know, generally you use Safer itself to search White Dragon or Black Dragon, but here by using Levianeer, the hope is to likely search the Bystial Lubellion. Infinite Impermanence there is a particularly rough card to see, because if you just use Safer itself,
yeah, you're going to get your effect negated.
Yeah.
I will Magnamute Levianeer.
And the Magnamute on the Levianeer, everything got banished. However, there is a Branded Regain.
Chilling 2 Magnamute.
Branded Regain is going to put back the Safer, and we're going to see a draw. Maybe that draw is going to matter a lot here, because there doesn't seem to be a lot developed for Kalen's board. He shook his head on that draw. Ooh, triple tactics down, not bad.
That is fine.
might be interesting. Do you draw 2 or do you take the Magnamut? So it looks like Kalen's elected to draw 2.
You're right. You could choose to take and just continue to just keep playing with the opponent's dragons.
That talent will eventually find its way to the graveyard.
Your regains there. Yeah.
There we go.
Nothing in res.
In-city, Page Vision,
Oh, here we go.
Wow, so we both get to see a brand new Horus card from the Age of Overlord, and Vision Resonator, which was discarded, a card from the structure deck Crimson King. Vision Resonator actually is going to activate because it's been sent to the graveyard. So we'll be able to see both of these strategies and exactly what Kalen's been doing all weekend.
Maybe this is the perfect synergy that the deck is looking for. I mean, this is working out pretty well. Like, maybe the Dragon cards don't get you there, but the Horus card's going to take you all the way.
So Vision Resonator is going to allow Kalen to search a copy of Crimson Gaia, which has a few different effects. The primary one is that you will have the ability to special summon back that Resonator.
You're going to be able to add more cards, activate, add more cards. We're not under a drone lockboard, so this is actually a pretty decent scenario. Now Vision Resonator, one of the new cards from the Crimson King.
Activate it.
And now I'll be able to see exactly how these cards work.
Sure.
And we also have King's Sarcophagus, so the Mseti in the graveyard is likely to come back as a free, I believe it's dark. It's a dark type, a dark attribute. And if we can add a Vision Resonator into hand, that's going to be a free special summon of a level 2 tuner.
Yeah, I shortcutted that a little bit. So you add it either from the graveyard or the deck, the copy of Vision Resonator, and then you can special summon it if you have a level 5 or higher dark monster on the field. which this deck is generally speaking going to do relatively quickly. But it essentially is going to act as an extender when you're able to pull these off.
That's fine. Yeah.
And here the Bestial Lubellion will be discarded, allowing Kalen to search for a Bestial monster, presumably the single copy of Magnamut.
Hold on a second. Imseti cannot be summoned until the King's Sarcophagus is on the field. Now we get to special summon the Imseti. You can also special summon, continue your play.
I want to go and be that guy. I do. Affect the sarcophagus?
Effect of Sarcophagus.
So this is one of the additional effects. So Sarcophagus isn't just a card that sits there on the field, allowing you to summon the Horus cards. It allows you to also essentially turn any card into your hand for a Foolish Burial for other Horus cards. And now what you'll be able to do is get a second level 8 into the graveyard, and because the King's Sarcophagus is still on the field, it can immediately hit the field. It looks like that's either... It looks like a happy.
It looks like a happy.
It does look like a happy.
I mean, you do have the one card that's banished already, so like you can add it back. I think the next play is going to be a special summon.
Yeah. Effect.
Oh, we're going to go into Magnamut.
This now puts the second banished card.
Yeah.
You need 2 cards that are banished or in either graveyard in order to use Happy's effect if it were to activate. And now this at least gives the flexibility of having 2 cards that are banished. And now Magnamut is sent to the graveyard in order to bring back the Bestial Lubellion. And now we'll go into what is likely going to be Hope Harbor. Oh, no, the Zombie Vampire.
Zombie Vampire.
That can't be targeted, right?
Would sending cards to both players' deck to the graveyard actually be beneficial here?
It's a play that has some degree of risk. I'd say with only 1 Chaos space, it's not as risky as it may have been
Well, here we
a
go.
month ago, but it is definitely something that has a degree of risk.
All right, we're going to proceed to send cards to the graveyard.
Because even cards like Seifert can be valuable for Elijah to have into the graveyard. We saw how valuable that could have been in the first game. So we'll see what the top of the deck's holds. So we've got
Serenir, Triple Tactics Thrust, Ash Blossom. That is a Black Metal Dragon.
Looks like Elijah, by and large, missed any value from the 4 cards off the top of his deck, so that's a huge benefit there for Kalen. Kalen's going to be able to summon Black Metal Dragon, still have Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in the deck, and not have to worry about Elijah getting any incremental value from that mill 4 off the top.
This is definitely turning out a lot different than I thought how it was going to be, thanks to just the Horus cards now.
Yeah, this is fantastic. We're able to see how these 2 types of decks start to meld together. The fact that the Bestial Lubellion is level 8 and then the Horus monsters are level 8s, we can see getting access to the Zombie Vampire being an integral part to Kalen's opening strategy here.
Now we're going to get a link summon into Heretic Seals of Heavenly Spheres.
I still need to get my secret.
And that's going to get the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon into hand. Wow, the hand's been completely reloaded now.
That's the beauty of the Dragon Link based strategies, or, you know, what's interesting about Kalen's deck is I wouldn't necessarily say it's a Dragon Link deck, but just the cards, you know, Branded Regain and some of the other inherent strategies where you're incorporating cards that always search, like Black Metal Dragon, it always feels like their hand is 4 or 5 cards, even though they've invested so much into the field already that turn.
Yep. Great resource management. Like, everything just cycles into more and more cards. And we get an SP. Now that was using, I believe, an Xyz monster as the material, so that's going to trigger the first effect. On summon, it's going to be able to banish any card on the field.
Which is definitely useful. You don't want to pass to Elijah with a dragon on the field. That enables so many different pathways, from getting Lubellion onto the graveyard and then back onto the field, to being used as a link material for one of the variety of differing dragon-based link monsters that he is playing. So definitely want to get that off the field.
So there's going to be also another Magnamut effect from Elijah's side. He's getting his search right now.
I'll add Lubellion off my Magnamut.
And Lubellion it is.
So Kalen seems to have both the Heretic Seal interaction and then the SP Little Knight interaction that are clearly on the field, and then Branded Regain can give incremental value by getting a draw, which is likely going to happen at some point this turn.
And it's also, if a summon occurs, we're going to be seeing a summon back from the Branded Regain as well.
Yep.
Activate the effect of Lubellion.
Lubellion effect has been activated. Is there disruption coming from Kalen? We're going to see an Ash Blossom Joyous Spring come down.
So it looks like Elijah unfortunately opened up Boot Sector Launch, which in the long history of the Dragon Link decks that have existed, regardless of the way in which it's been constructed and what the secondary packages and the secondary engines have been, that's a card you never want to draw.
It is definitely not that great. You lose the ability to develop your chains. You get or other cards disrupted. Yeah, definitely not that great. And you also lose a card because you have it in your hand.
Yes, it's generally a card that you can always find by summoning Striker Dragon. The only situation is if that Striker Dragon is interrupted with something like Infinite Impermanence, for example.
I mean, even if you use Infinite Impermanence against the Heretic Seal, that Heretic Seal still has value once you tribute it off just to pay the cost.
And then, and then you would be able to special summon any dragon from the deck, and there's a variety of different dragons that Kalen can search out that are considered valuable. Seifert is probably a great example. That way there's a follow-up in the graveyard.
And if they put out an extra deck monster, potentially you might see a Fallen of Albaz going into a Mirror Jade. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That was the wrong player there.
It's okay. These deck lists are very similar when you see them side by side, but I think Seifert is probably the biggest, the best value inherently.
Yeah. All right. Now think here.
Gotcha.
Or actually putting, Seifert's probably the best one, but I think there's already Seifert in the graveyard, the single copy of Seifert, because it got hit by Impermanence on the opening play. So it might be valuable to just put a level 8 dragon into the graveyard or something that you can bring back off of Seifert. The Llewellyn is already there. So I'm not sure what the big value play would be. Maybe Jerusalem?
Perhaps Jerusalem.
Jerusalem's probably the most logical one.
Black Dragon effect.
Chain SP.
Black Dragon effect, SP. We're getting rid of Striker Dragon and Magnamut.
So this is great. Now the Magnamut is going to reliably go back to the field during the end phase. We've seen all the different ways in which SP Little Knight can be utilized over the course of the weekend. One of the key ways is to protect a monster that you really want to have on your next turn, whether that's to be used as link material or any other reason.
We've seen that from the Rescue Ace players, just making sure that they can keep that turbulence up. And find out, even if they banish out their own turbulence, they can just find a way to get Preventer and then just summon it back onto the field, just get the effect anyway.
We also saw a Tier Elements player utilize it on Mud Dragon in order to make it so that there's always that ability to stop targeting effects against the Rescue Ace strategy.
Oh.
Yes, I know. Declare Mud Dragon, reliably banish it with SP Little Knight, have it come back on your turn, open your turn up by calling a certain attribute necessary to continue playing, and play through the targeting effects. So SP Little Knight, this brand new card from Age of Overlord, has been showcased in numerous different ways this weekend.
Very, very versatile.
Gotcha.
I think Kalen's playing really, really well into, what I would say, multiple disruptions on the very early turn.
He has 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, one used during Kalen's opening play, and then one here by Elijah to shut down the return to hand effect of Heretic Seal.
Normal summon, not Seifert. What's left on the disruption for Kalen? With the Heretic Seal already turned off,
they would have to be in-hand interruptions because the regain brought back the Magnamut, which triggered its effect. SP Little Knights used its effect, that's why Magnamut is currently banished. The Heretic Seal has already been Infinite Impermanenced, which means, yes, you'd be able to special summon a dragon from your deck by paying the cost on Heretic Seal, but there's no dragon that you can special summon that's going to have a clear interruptive effect. Jerusalem has sort of a middle ground where if it is sent to the graveyard, but there's no inherent reason why it would, at least by Kalen's decision right now.
We get Boot Sector launch activated right now. Then we special summon out the Rocket Tracer. Rocket Tracer activated, in fact, to destroy the Boot Sector launch, getting the Rocket Recharge onto the field.
Ooh, we see one of the most powerful interactions here is having Nibiru with Heretic Seal on the field yourself.
That is really, really good. Wait.
And I think not only does that Nibiru
that
clear
Nibiru
the field,
took oh, I think
Elijah,
I think that was it. That was it.
Elijah says, yep, that Nibiru takes the game, not just clears the field.
Oh.
The writing is on the wall because there's the Magnet effect that's going to resolve during the end phase because it was returned back to the field off regain. Plus, you're going to have the ability for that Magnamut to return to the field itself.
Yeah.
Plus, you're going to have the Heretic Seal effect. There's too many additional points of value that Kalen was going to be able to either search out or special summon before their turn began again.
Now, there's no more surprises for either player. The side decking here is probably going to be the most optimal that they're going to be able to do for the all-important Game 3.
So, not that you would ever consider siding after Bystials in this particular matchup, but now it's clear as day the Bystials are the critical part of this particular matchup. It'll be interesting to see how Elijah sculpts his deck now that he knows that this isn't quite exactly a mirror match, but there are some similarities inherently in the strategy. I wonder if he's thought about what it would be like to play against a Bystial deck with the Horus package. That's not something that I anticipated seeing a lot this weekend. He also saw at least a little bit of the Vision Resonator package. We didn't get to see any of the Red Dragon cards from the extra deck, but all aspects of Kalen's deck now have been revealed. The Bystials, the Horus, and in addition to that, the cards from the Crimson King structure deck.
I think the siding pattern for these players in a mirror match, it's pretty hard considering the Bystials themselves are really good against themselves.
Yes.
So there's not much room in terms of like that particular area, but when it comes to, say, like disruptions like that are generic, what would you think that would be very useful in this case?
Both of these players have Droll and Lockbird in their deck, and I think that's the absolute go-to card. Droll and Lockbird has